Oh, where am I? Where am I? There I am. Okay. Sorry, I put myself in the corner. Welcome in, everybody, to our Missing Person Monday live stream. As usual, bear with me tonight. My cell signal is extra sketchy. So I'm having to do everything on my phone because I couldn't get StreamYard up on my laptop. So bear with me. We all know how it goes when I have to work off my phone, but I will do the best I can. It is good to see everybody here tonight. I tried to flash as many of you guys comments up as I could during the intro. So I'll do my best to keep up with comments tonight. It's a little bit harder when I'm having to look on my phone because I'm old and I'm blind and I need better glasses. But anyway, but I'll try to get to all your comments about the questions, comments, theories, whatever about the cases. So let me see who is here. Doodle is here. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. Mark is here. Chris is here. As far as here. Let me see. Stormy is here. Let me see. Lance is here. I haven't seen you in a while, my friend. It is good to see you. Our friend Lance from Canada. Good to see you back, sir. Making my way. Mustang is here. Good, always good to see you here. Oh no, I don't want to delete that comment. See, this is what happens when I try to work on my phone. I end up, excuse me, accidentally putting people in timeout and deleting comments. I'm trying not to. And my allergies are once again out of control, so I apologize for that in advance. Again, as usual, the usual out here in the country. Miss PJ's here. I knew I saw Miss PJ somewhere. All right, that's where I left off. Let me see if anybody else has snuck in. Thank you. Mustang is getting in links for all these wonderful creators, other creators that come in here, our friends, to support us. So thank you, Mustang, for that. Let me see. It's good to see all you guys tonight. We got a good crowd tonight. All right. Just want to think I'm caught up. There's JP. Hey, JP. How are you doing, my friend? It is always good to see you. Please do check out JP. He's been putting out some extra good stuff lately. I've been trying to share and share as much as I can and go over there and listen to it and like on it and comment on it. But he's doing a wonderful job as always. I think these are all. Oh, JP says, I'm barely here. The meds have got me. Yeah, you said you were fighting a little bit of an illness right now, so I hope you get better. ASAP, JP. Miss Paula is here. Hello, Miss Paula. You're not late. You know us. You know me. I'm always late. Man, I need a magnifying glass, I'm telling you. What JP says, I thought you were going live at 8:30. Is it not 8:30? It's 8:30 Central. So I deleted mine. I don't ever delete I don't ever want anybody to delete a live stream because of me. You know, we can do our live streams and people can, because I have to do that sometimes. I say, okay, who am I going to watch live and who am I going to watch replay? It's just, and our replay crew is awesome around here. So no, don't ever work around my schedule. No. But I appreciate it. And I forgot where JP is at. He must be in a different time zone. Yeah, because I'm central here in Arkansas. Oh, so you must be over on he says it's 6:30 here. You must be over on the West Coast somewhere or further west than I am. All right. I think I'm caught up. Oh man, I'm telling you. And I cleaned my screen on my phone, so that makes it even harder to now I forgot to, there it goes. Okay. Anyway, so tonight we're going to be featuring missing persons cases from Louisville, Kentucky. I've been trying to go in alphabetical order. I know we kind of got out of order because the first ones we did were requested cities to do. So I kind of I got them in first, all the requests that I had. So I think we're going to trying to get back into alphabetical order. And I can't even remember what we did last Monday. Was it Boise? We did Idaho, and then we did anyway. I'll get myself confused before we even get started. So tonight, since once again my cell service is kind of sketchy, we may just have just the Charley Project information to go on, depending on, because my articles that I usually use are extra information. Some of them loaded, some of them didn't. But as always, they are all linked in the description box. So if I can't get them to come up to read here tonight, please just go in there, click on the links, read them at your leisure to get just maybe a little bit of extra information about these cases. So first, we have Elizabeth Alice Brussow. So Elizabeth has been missing since December 10th, 2006 from Louisville. She is classified as endangered missing. She is a white female. She was 43 years old. When she went missing, she'll be 62 years old as of 2026. And when she went missing, she was 4'10" to 4'11" tall and 90 to 100 pounds. So she was just a little thing. Because I'm short, I'm 5'3", and if you're just 4'10" or 4'11" and 90 pounds soaking wet, that's a little bitty. But she had brown hair and blue eyes. It says that she does have burn scars almost completely covering the left side of her body. And I think if I can't get her article to come up, I do remember when I was reading through it last night that I think she got these burns somehow during her childhood. Now, it didn't go into description of what exactly happened. She also has multiple tattoos, including one on her right arm. So she was actually seen leaving the Metro Correction Center, which is in the 400 block of South 6th Street in Louisville, at around 1 p.m. on December 10th, 2006. And she had just been released from jail. She had just served time for they said, just a minor substance charge. But apparently, when she left the correction center, that is the last confirmed sighting of her. So then in February of 2007, one of her 8 children did go to her apartment to check on her. And so this is where I mean, they're all scary, but so when one of her daughters went to check on her, went to her apartment to check on her, there was a tall man that she only knew as John. Now, I don't know if she had seen this man before, or when she encountered this man at Elizabeth's apartment, that he said, my name is John, or, but she only knew him as John. So John gave the daughter a bag of Elizabeth's belongings and said that he had last seen her getting into a semi truck. So, I mean, I don't know if the police, it does say that the police, and then after that, nobody's seen her since. Her family did report her missing on February 24th, and then the police were never able to identify or interview this man who, said his name was John at the apartment. So I have questions about that. So she has not been in touch with her family since mid-October 2006. And since her disappearance, there has not been any activity on her bank account. Her family stated that she did keep in regular touch with them, and they do not believe that she would have gone this long without contacting her children. She also had grandchildren that she has not contacted. Her family stated that they do believe that she is deceased, and police are not ruling out foul play in her disappearance. So this one's just I want to know, in this case, I want to know more about who this man was. So if you do have any information, you can call the Louisville Metro PD at 502-572-7120. So let me see. I did have a couple of articles for her. Let me see if I can get any of them to load, and we'll go from there. But let me look at your comments while we're seeing if anything's going to load or not. Let me see. Nevada. Okay, JP is in Nevada. Gotcha. There's our friend Josh. Hello, my friend. What did he say? Sorry, once again, reading off my phone. I'm here, been scrambling, worried about my dad. But now he's out of surgery and cracking jokes with nurses, much to the dismay of the rest of the world. Well, Josh, I hope he's doing okay. I don't know what he had to have surgery for, but we send him our thoughts, prayers, and good vibes, most definitely. But yeah, if he's cracking those cracking jokes with nurses, oh goodness, it's gonna be one of those nights. Yes, it's Monday. Hopefully he is doing okay. It's always good to see Josh here. Please do check out. I think he's here under his channel name, where Lavender Grows. Please do check his channel out. He does fantastic work. Well, that one's not loading. Let me see if I can get the other one to load. Like I said, we may just be going on Charley Project information tonight, but it's better than nothing. Thank you once again. Mustang is getting the links in. Oh, this article came up. JP says he'd rather listen than be live. I have that sometimes too. It's just, I love doing this. I do, but sometimes, you probably noticed I haven't used my camera in probably a month. Sometimes I'm just feel like it's a distraction sometimes when I'm using my camera, because I get everything set up right. And I'm not saying this out of like vanity. It's just like self-consciousness, kind of makes me uncomfortable sometimes. But anyway, so as long as you guys can hear me and get this information, this important information about these missing persons cases, that is all that counts. And I promise at some point, I will let you. I will turn my camera on again. But anyway. All right, let me mark right there and get to this article while it loaded. So this is from foul play suspected in missing Louisville woman's case. This is from December of 2016. So about 10 years after she went missing. In the decade since Elizabeth Brussow went missing, she's become a grandmother, and one of her daughters is expecting yet another grandchild. 10 years without being able to celebrate holidays with Elizabeth has taken a toll on her 8 children. So Linda Comstock, I believe, is one of her daughters, says there's not a day, quote, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about my mom and wonder where she is. It's been a struggle for my whole family, end quote. So Linda was just 13 years old when her mother disappeared. I just can't imagine. I wonder what the age, so with 8 children, I wonder what the age range was. Because I mean, it's obviously horrifying, no matter how you can be if an adult, and if your parent goes missing, it's going to be just as horrifying as if you were younger, but it's just, it's going to be younger or harder on kids. But so Linda was only 8 when Elizabeth disappeared. She says, while it's often said that time heals wounds, that has not been the case for her children. Alice Messer, who's another one of Elizabeth's daughters, said, quote, we don't have anything. We've gone 10 years with no mother, no grandma. It is hard, end quote. Elizabeth's last known address is an apartment in the shadow of the backside of Churchill Downs. For anybody who doesn't know, Churchill Downs is a horse racing track in Louisville. I've actually been there once to tour it. But anyway, so the mother of 8 had fallen on hard times. Still, police and her children insist that she always stayed in contact. When Alice had not heard from Elizabeth in weeks, she went to the apartment, and she was confronted by a man that she only knows as John. So this was in February 2007. Alice said that John handed her a bag of her mother's belongings and told what she said was just an emotionless and cryptic tale. She said, quote, I asked him where she was at, and he could not answer. He said that maybe he had seen her getting into a semi truck, and that was it, end quote. So I mean, obviously that would be my first person of interest / suspect on the list. Could very well be that he was telling the truth, and whatever, but unless police can find him and talk to him, or could have found him and talked to him, you can't rule anything out. So now police do think that foul play is involved. Detective Ann Hogan of the Louisville Metro PD announced that she believes foul play is involved in Elizabeth's disappearance. Detective Hogan explained that a recent training is offering her new avenues to look into this and other Louisville missing persons cold cases. Elizabeth's children fear that their mother will never be seen alive again. But regardless, they are begging for a clue, just anything to crack the cold case and answer to the questions. They said that have just clawed at their soul or at the soul of their family for so long. Alice said, quote, someone has to know something. Someone's got to recognize her. Someone has got to know who she is, end quote. And that is usually true. Somebody saw something. And a lot of times it's people may have seen something and they didn't realize that they'd seen something at the time, something important. But that's why we feature these cold cases mostly here for anybody new. Cold cases here is that, at the time you may see something and not really, think too much about it. And then you hear about this missing person, the description or something just even years later can jog your memory and say, hey, wait, I did see something or hear something, or, word on the street was. So that is why we feature these cold cases. Let me see. Try one more time to get that other article to come up. I don't think it had any really additional information. But I'll check your comments again while let's see if it's going to load. JP says, sorry if I don't say hi to everyone. I'm a little loopy. Welcome to the club. I'm always loopy. Welcome, Vicarious Vigilante. Good to see you here. Welcome in. So I hate working off my phone because whenever I touch a comment, it puts like a white box over it and I can't read them. Oh, did I miss Miss Peggy? Hold on. I told you I would accidentally miss people. Somebody said hi to Miss Peggy. If I miss Miss Peggy, I apologize. I will try to find her. Oh, the other article came up. All right, let me quickly get through here. Let me see. I don't see Miss Peggy. She's gotta be here, unless there's somebody else named Peggy. No, I'm thinking about Miss Peggy Breedenbach. If it's a different Peggy, I apologize. Maybe Vicarious Vigilante. Patriotism is here. Welcome in. Always good to see you here. Says, hey, everyone, just stopping by. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, I checked in. Doodlebug was doing a live stream when I got home from work and got everything done. I was relaxing a little bit, and Doodle was live with her nature or Doodle. You have to remind me. Somebody had to remind me what it's called. Shenanigans, Homestead Shenanigans. Is that what it's called? Please go. Somebody can. Hopefully, Mustang's got that link. Just you can go over there and relax. She's got a camera set up there. She had a feeder, and when I was watching it for a few minutes and chatting a little bit, there was a squirrel up there eating, and me and Biscuit, little fluffy butt. Biscuit's my little fluffy butt, but Doodle was calling the squirrel a fluffy butt. We were enjoying it immensely. Very relaxing. A nice break from true crime and just any kind of stress you have in your life. Just go over and check out Doodle's new channel or second channel and getting on some shenanigans, some squirrels. Like I said, Biscuit enjoyed the squirrel. I was showing it to him. He loved it. Oh goodness, Josh says that his dad's doing okay. More worried about mom. Hope she survives the night. Oh, is she up at the hospital with him? Whatever meds they gave him, they didn't shut him up. Oh my goodness. I can relate. Let me see. I apologize once again. I'm trying to make it through these comments. I'm trying not to miss anybody who's come in. Miss Farr gifted a Southern Gal True Crime membership. Thank you so much, Miss Farr. Let me find the cow. Thank you so much, Miss Farr. And you guys can let me know who got it. I can't see it on StreamYard. I know you guys can see it on YouTube. Oh, goodness. All right, go back up. Okay. I'm telling you, I need stronger glasses. I'm trying to read off this phone. Let me see. I saw another one. Oh, Mustang sent a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much, Mustang. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Sorry, I had to switch back and forth on my phone from comments to my media. Thank you so much, Mustang. Very much appreciated. Yeah, everybody loves the moo cow. Also, Vicarious Vigilante got it. Excellent. Farr said, welcome to the paddock pasture, Vicarious Vigilante. Welcome. I'm glad you got it. There's Vicarious Vigilante again. All right, let me mark right there since this article, if I can get my blue star to come up. There we go. So this is another article. Like I said, it came out about the same time that the other one did, about 10 years after. Police seek tips in 10-year-old missing persons case. So Louisville Metro Police, and this was in 2016. Excuse me. So Louisville Metro Police are asking for help from the public in solving a 10-year-old missing persons case. So now we're in 2026, 20 years now. A mother of 8, Elizabeth Brussow, who was then 43, disappeared without a trace, and authorities suspect foul play may have been involved. Police said that she may have been down on her luck, but she does have family who loves her and who are still seeking answers. Detective Ann Hogan said, quote, she was very family oriented. She had a lot of contact with her family, with her children. Hogan said that Brussow's last time with her family was in October of 2006 for her granddaughter's birthday. So at least she got to spend, with her granddaughter. So the last sighting of Brussow, Elizabeth, was in December of 2006, once again along the backside of Churchill Downs. Brussow may have gotten into the cab of a semi, and she may have left the area with a man. So they say possibly with a man named John. So I'm assuming they're thinking maybe this John that one of the daughters, Alice, saw or encountered at her apartment. But they said, or Detective Hogan said, quote, possibly with a man named John, who's either a white or Native American male at the time with long dark hair. So Elizabeth had recently been released from prison. Once again, I think it was just this Charley Project said it was just a minor substance charge. Detective Hogan said that she is working about 24 missing persons cases, but pointed out that the LMPD, as of 2016, had reports of 2,500 missing persons that year, which once again, this article's from 2016. So it's just... So the detective is hoping to bring closure for Elizabeth's family. Detective Hogan said, quote, our families are in long-term missing persons cases, how difficult it is for the family. They want answers, and yet sometimes the answers are not good answers, end quote. We always obviously hope for the best possible outcome, which is the missing person is found alive and well and safe, but unfortunately, that is not always the case. Brussow or Elizabeth did have money in the bank, but according to Detective Hogan, it has never been touched since she was last seen. Once again, Elizabeth, when she disappeared, was around 4'11" tall and around 90 to 100 pounds. So this is where it said as a child, she suffered severe burns on one side of the body. Once again, that's all. It doesn't go into detail about what exactly happened. How she got these burns. And anyone with information, once again, can call the Louisville Metro PD. So I'm wondering about maybe the police. I don't know, because they said in this article that said they were looking for, she could have possibly left the area with a man named John. And then we have her daughter who encountered a man who said his name was John at the apartment. And then this John said that, last time I saw her, she got into a semi truck with somebody and left. So, we don't know. Like I said, it would have been good if they would have been able to have found this John, but once again, with just, barely a description that Alice was able to get. And once again, I think she was only, she was 13. No, Alice was 13. I don't know if I can't remember if she's the one that found her or if another sister, but at any rate, it's just, maybe it's, some, like the family says, somebody out there saw something. All right. Let me get the other article or the next case loading while I check comments, just in case it takes a minute. Let me find the right one. Okay. So Peggy, we must have another Peggy. It must be vicarious vigilante. So if y'all both here at the same time with Miss Peggy Breedenbach, it'll have to be Peggy number 1, Peggy number 2, so I can keep everybody straight. Oh goodness. Let me see. Yep, Josh, always with the information. I'm telling you, he can find these news articles. He says, I'm reading in the Courier Journal. It says that Alice, or Elizabeth Alice, her name was Elizabeth Alice Brussow. Alice was so much a family-oriented person, always kept contact. Yeah, that's what her family says. So that's why, I mean, and it didn't say how long she had been at that apartment. But she had just gotten out of jail or prison or whatever for this just minor substance charge. But it said the last time that her family saw her was at her granddaughter, one of their granddaughter's birthdays. So, it's very sad. Once again, forgive me, I'm reading off my phone. Josh says her family believes that she was staying. Her family believes that she was staying with a tall man named John. So maybe John was also living in the apartment. It also says that she may have been last seen getting into a semi. Yeah. Patriotism asked me if I'm hiding people. Nope, not intentionally. I swear. I don't think I've unintentionally hidden anybody either. Is somebody missing? Can y'all not see somebody? I'm not hiding anybody. Josh, with more information, Alice loves country music and wrestling. Hey, 2 of my favorite things. She was so petite, she had to shop in the children's section. Yeah, she was like 4'10", 4'11", and 90 to 100 pounds. Yeah, she was very tiny. Thank you. There is Miss Doodle's second channel, Homestead Shenanigans. Please do check it out for some. Thank you. Yeah, JP says VV Vicarious Vigilante is Peggy. Thank you. That's what I was kind of getting. Yeah, Miss Paula says prayers to her family. Absolutely. I'm not hiding anybody. Don't be getting me in trouble, patriotism. I haven't intentionally hit anybody now. I don't think I've unintentionally hit anybody trying to work off my phone here. Josh has got some more information from this article. It says Alice's daughter said, quote, I want people to know that she may have made bad decisions with substances, but I don't want other people to look down on loved ones who are struggling. Absolutely. Absolutely. Doesn't matter. Every missing person, doesn't matter what your background is, what choices you may have made in the past or present that you're working through. Everybody deserves to be found. Yeah, Josh says she wasn't reported missing until 2 months later. Yep. See, that's why I'm wondering if how long she had been at that apartment. Maybe her family didn't. How long it was between when she last saw her family. I can't remember. It might have said in the article, and I've just forgotten already. How long it was between when she was last seen, when she last saw her family, when they were together at the granddaughter's birthday party until she disappeared, and then they went to the apartment, or the daughter went to the apartment. How much time? But yeah, 2 months. Oh, JP burnt his TV dinner. Oh goodness. Hey, Ms. Z. Ms. Z is here from Child Junkies United. She says, hey everyone, I made it. We are always happy when Miss Z makes it. Please do, if you don't do anything else, please do go over and check out, if you haven't already, Trial Junkies United. Go subscribe. I know they were trying to make it to 400 during the live stream last night. They have live streams on Thursday nights, Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Central. We talked about, or they talked about, and we discussed in chat a very, and I did share it on my community tab. Very, very hard subject, but it's very important, especially for parents, to know who your children are talking to online. But so go over there and subscribe to Trial Junkies United, Z and Doc and Moo the Cat. Do so excellent work with the injustice cases, predators, things of that nature. If I don't get to make it live, which I usually do get to make it live, I'm always on Replay Crew. Always share it out. Go subscribe. I think they made it over 400, so let's get them up. Like I said, go over there, subscribe, share their link, share their live streams. They do wonderful, excellent work. Let me see. ZZ Top, wait, how did I miss that? So Mustang said, JP, now TV dinners by ZZ Top is stuck in my head. I wasn't aware that ZZ Top had a song named TV dinners. I do like ZZ Top. I don't like listen to them religiously, but there's our friend Dave out on the prowl. Hello, my friend. He's probably listening and driving. Please do check out Dave. He does his live stream late Saturday nights, early Sunday mornings, once a week, usually around midnight-ish 30 Central Time. And he's on the East Coast, so it's always a good when Dave checks in. Yep, checking in. He's checking in to leave a like. Thank you, my friend. Yep, he is, as usual, listening and driving. You be careful, Dave, out there driving. Dave says, hope everyone is well. Absolutely. And that he can't say hi to everyone. Absolutely. We understand because you are driving. Just try not to miss any. Oh, almost missed Junior. There's Junior. Hello, my friend. Junior says hello from Michigan. Always good to see you here, Junior. I'll try not to keep you up too late past your bedtime, if at all possible. Oh, goodness. It's going to be past my bedtime also. DJs is back. Oh, where'd they go? There they are. Welcome, welcome. DJs, allegedly, in my opinion, True Crime 1998, the full name. I just call him DJ. Much easier for me to say, but it is good to see you back. Yeah, it's true. JP made a comment, says we can find other world leaders in hiding, but not our own homeland missing. That is true. But just, I don't know, these missing, because I used to think, before I really got into doing all the research and, with the missing persons and stuff, I'm like, somebody had to have seen something, and how do these cases go so long without being, either solved or, the person found or the remains? But it's just, it happens, and it's just so frustrating and so sad, and just you feel for the families, obviously, that they have to go, this long without any answers, or sometimes never getting, an answer. It's just heartbreaking. Z says some weird things have been going on with YouTube chats lately. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, somebody asked me earlier if I was hiding people or comments. I'm like, no, not intentionally. And I don't think I am working off my phone, which is, smaller screen, but I don't think I've even accidentally hidden anybody. But yeah, it's the YouTubes, they always got to be doing something. Josh says Homestead Shenanigans has been popping up in his YouTube feed. Yeah, it was Doodle. Yep, it's Doodle. Doodle's second channel. Yeah, Mustang says exactly. Everyone deserves to be found. You're correct. Yeah, but couldn't forget Moo the cat, and we did, I think, have a moose sighting. Was it Sunday night or Thursday night? I don't remember that we had the moose sighting of Moo the cat during the live stream. Yeah, Josh said some articles are saying that Alice or Elizabeth was last seen at Churchill Downs. Yeah, she apparently the apartment buildings that she lived in, it said they're in the shadows of the backside of Churchill Downs, which once again is a horse racing track. It is very big. Like I said earlier, I have been to it. We actually, that was one of our stops on one of the trips I took with the tour company that we travel with. When we were going out to one of the East Coast trips, that was one of our stops. We actually got to stop at Churchill Downs when it was closed and get a tour of it. Yeah, it's a big place. So yeah, so apparently the apartment buildings, like I said, were somewhere behind the Churchill Downs. Excellent. Ms. Z says we did make it over 400. Thanks so much. You guys deserve it. You guys deserve, all that you can get. That's why I always try to, like I said, always give you a shout out. Share out your live streams after they're over, and the shorts that you put out. You guys just do such a good job covering all these things that I don't think I would have the, with me, so most of these even just missing persons cases are just hard to stomach and hard to, but the topics that you guys cover, it's just, I wouldn't have I would be, curled up in bed in the fetal position by the time I did all the research. So just God bless you for what you do. Oh, Junior says he likes ZZ Top too. We agree on a band for once. We probably agree on more than one band. Yep, Z said good old Texas dude, ZZ Top. Yep, I think they came to Little Rock not too long ago. Maybe within the last year. I didn't get to go see them, but I am going to see. We got our tickets for Bryan Adams and Pat Benatar, Neil Giraldo are coming to Little Rock in August. I think it's August 1st. And we got our tickets to see Bryan Adams and Pat Benatar. I've seen Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo before. They are excellent. We went down about 10 years ago, I think. It's 2016 or 15. We went down, they came down to one of the casinos in Tunica, Mississippi. It was just her and Neil, who is her longtime guitar player, longtime husband. They're married. It was just those two singing with a guitar and a little bit of pre-recorded background music, and it was just fantastic. Now, I've never seen Bryan Adams, so never got to see him back in the day. So I'm very, very excited about seeing Bryan Adams. Now, I just got to wait like a month now before we can go to the concerts. Oh, anyway, as usual, my squirrel brain is getting off track here. Yeah, Junior said the Kentucky Derby, which is Churchill Downs, is where the Kentucky Derby is at. The most exciting 2 minutes in sports, absolutely. And they've got such neat stuff. I mean, we've got a Oaklawn here in Arkansas horse racing track. Of course, not as big as Churchill Downs, but when I grew up, my parents always and their friends always went to the races. And then when we got old enough, we went. And it's just so fun. I mean, I never really bet. I mean, I would bet on the horse. If a horse had a name that I liked, or if it was pretty, I would bet on it, get a $2 ticket. But yeah, Churchill Downs was just amazing. Ms. Z says, Moo heard you mention her name. She's sitting right here by my laptop. Oh, hi, Moo. Too bad Biscuit's not in here. Biscuit could talk to you also. Or he'd be climbing the walls, literally. Yeah, Mustang says, Love is a Battlefield is my favorite Pat Benatar. Absolutely. See, yeah, Josh says if that's true and John is the same John that the daughter saw at the apartment and that apparently law enforcement was given a description of. So I don't know if they got the description. God, my glasses are fogging up. It's hot in here tonight. So I don't know if they just got that description from when the daughter saw this John. The guy said his name was John in the apartment. Because you would think that if he had a contact with the family, that the law enforcement could have found him, unless he just did a disappearing act of his own after she disappeared. But yeah, they said he was a white or possibly Native American male with long dark hair. So maybe that was just, they were just going off the description that the daughter gave. Thank you, Stormy, for being here. She says she's heading to bed. Have a good night. Oh, lots of comments just popped up. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you, Stormy. Thank you for popping in. I appreciate it. Uh-oh, Echoes is in the house. I'm a little bit behind on comment. Well, I'm almost caught up. My Bubba is in the house. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. You and Mrs. Echoes and the family. Oh man, it's hot in here. Anyway, yes, Echoes says hola as always. Chris says me, Echoes, in the live stream. I know it's complete now. Echoes is here. It's always a dumpster fire, so we got that covered. Echo says I'm clean, just showered. Mrs. Echo says thank God. Good to know. Good to know. It's always good to have you here. Always good to have you here. All right, let me mark there, and we will see who we have next. We have. Did I get my pictures? Okay, no, that's the right one. Just making sure I had my Ooh, that's a good. Junior says he bought tickets to see the Guess Who. Pretty good tickets, 11th row. Excellent. That would be a good concert. Yeah, we got. Now they did have some floor seats left when general admission, or because with the Bryan Adams and Pat Benatar here, they had, of course, they have all the pre-sales. You got the fan club pre-sales. You have the different credit cards do pre-sales, but now, when just the general tickets went on sale to everybody, there was some floor seats left, but they were like way at the back. So short me wouldn't have been able to see, but we got in the lower bowl, because most stadium or arenas have the lower bowl, upper bowl, and we did get lower bowl seats for a very good price. So I'm excited. Oh man. But it's not the same because both lead singers, it's probably good. Echo says Warrant and Firehouse are coming to Burnsville this fall. I need to go. I know. But, of course, obviously, anybody who's into 80s hair metal, Johnny Lyon passed away many years ago. And then the singer from Firehouse passed away a year or two ago, I think. But I did obviously get to see both bands Warren a few times, and Firehouse at least twice. Two of my favorite bands of all time. All right. Oh my goodness. I'm pushing buttons. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so we have Rhonda Faye Day. She's been missing since July 29th, 2018 from Louisville. She is a white female. She was 42 years old when she went missing. She was 5 foot 4 inches tall, 185 pounds, with blonde hair and green eyes. She does wear glasses with dark frames or contact lenses, and these pictures that I found weren't the best. I mean, Charley Project had a lot of pictures up, but I just try to put the ones with the best description, because she had several with the blonde hair and then several with dark hair. But they say when she disappeared, she had blonde hair. So blonde hair and green eyes, wears glasses or contacts, her ears are pierced. It says she may use the last names Highball and or Lasley. Her last known clothing was a black tank top, black shorts, black flip-flop sandals, and a black baseball cap, and says she was carrying a large black purse. So she was all in black with a black purse. So Rhonda was last seen in Louisville. So this is another one where I have questions about the last person to actually say that he had seen her. So Rhonda was last seen in Louisville. She had left her home in Lebanon Junction, Kentucky. And I don't know how far away, well, it might say how far away Lebanon Junction is from Louisville. But she had left her home in Lebanon Junction, Kentucky at around 9 p.m. on July 28th of 2018 to visit a friend on Maria Anna Drive and Pleasure Ridge Park area of Louisville. Almost said St. Louis, Louisville. So between 10:30 and 11 of that night, she called her grandmother with whom she lived and said that she would not be getting home until around 4 a.m. the next day. So apparently, it was a pretty far drive if it was going to take her that long. That long to get there. So this friend, who I believe was a male friend, I remember reading in the articles once again. Hopefully they will come up. Well, actually, I think I might have a video on this one. So this friend stated that at daybreak, which I think he said was around 5 a.m. on July 29th, is when Rhonda left his house. She never arrived home. She has never been seen or heard from again, but her car, which was a blue Chevy Aveo, was found abandoned on August 3rd. And this was in the 8600 block of Cane Run Road, which was only about a mile from this friend's house that she had stayed at. Supposedly, this friend said that he saw her leave in the driveway at around 5 a.m. So if she did leave the house, she didn't make it very far before something happened. Now, I question, once again, just because of the limited information we have, did she leave the house? So authorities stated that Rhonda is missing under suspicious circumstances and her case is obviously unsolved. So if you do have any information, you can call the Louisville PD at 502-574-7111 or the Lebanon Junction Police Department at 502-833-2244. And let me see if this was the one. Okay, so I was not able to find a whole lot of extra information as far as news articles with interviews with the family, interviews with law enforcement who are or have been in the past worked on the case. But now, just going off of AI overview, which once again, it's AI overview, so take it with a grain of salt. We know that they don't always get it 100% correct. But it just said, and I do have a video, about a 2.5 minute video that I'm going to play here in a minute, with some interview with her, I believe, Rhonda's aunt, I think it was. But it does mention in this AI overview that her family does suspect foul play due to abandoned personal items and a lack of financial activity. So the last sighting was this man that she visited claimed that he had last seen her in his driveway early in the morning, playing on her iPad before he left. And this is supposedly from the Homicide Police podcast, or the M Police podcast, and a YouTube video supposedly, and it does give the link. So her iPhone and her iPad chargers were left at home, according to this YouTube video. And once again, her car was discovered off of Cane Run. It was not and if this is true, this really, somebody dropped the ball. It says that, I think this is according to family, and from, once again, a YouTube video. It gives the link to the YouTube video that says the car was not initially secured by police for evidence, and apparently was not processed, searched, or whatever. Maybe just a cursory search, which her family felt was a critical error. And if that is true, then in my opinion, yeah. So it does say that during the investigation, cadaver dogs did search the acquaintance's home and truck, but they found nothing. So apparently the cadaver dogs didn't alert on any scents. So it says theories. The possible scenarios include foul play, a medical emergency, or they do also mention maybe an accidental OD, and then maybe somebody panicked, but I don't know about that. It says, though the family has faced a lack of concrete answers and does continue to seek information. Once again, anyone with information should contact the Louisville Metro PD. So yeah, but I was just so frustrated because all this AI stuff coming up, which, like I said, I don't always trust. I kind of look over it when if it does happen when I'm researching a case. But I mean, except for this and the one video that I found a link to on YouTube, an interview with her aunt, it's just, there was no information that I could find with my limited searching about Rhonda's case. But now several, you can just Google Rhonda Faye Day missing, and there is a link. I don't think I included it in the description box, but there is a link to this M Police podcast. It links her episode. She is listed in NamUs. Maybe this one podcast maybe was the only one, or it pops up several times, a link to it. So I'm gonna have to, when I get time, watch it. I didn't have time to watch it last night. But anyway, I will play this video. Like I said, it's about 2.5 minutes or so, and I will be back.
42-year-old grandmother Rhonda Day disappeared after visiting a friend in PRP. LMPD investigations and searches turned up no clues to her whereabouts.
And now, 7 years later, her family refuses to lose hope. Wave News reporter David Mattingly finds them asking for someone to come forward with a break that they've been looking for.
She's been missing now for 7 years, and the family of a missing Lebanon Junction woman is still looking for clues and asking for help. Rhonda Day is described as a loving grandmother with a big personality and a gift for making people laugh. But her smile has not been seen, and her laugh has not been heard. Since July 28, 2018, she borrowed $5 from her grandmother in Lebanon Junction for gas, then drove to a friend's house in PRP.
And he said that the last he saw of her, she was sitting in his driveway playing on her iPad at 5 o'clock in the morning, and she waved bye to him, and she left.
Rhonda's aunt said it was obvious she intended to come home that night. She left behind the phone charger she always needed and her beloved cat. Instead, it was the beginning of a 7-year ordeal of false hopes and endless disappointment.
Well, we've had people saying, oh, I've seen her here, I've seen her there. We've had psychics to call, anything. My sister even got, and I think this is so cold-hearted, she was getting text for ransom, wanting money, and that turned out to be nothing except cruel.
Rhonda's car was found days after her disappearance, abandoned on Cane Run Road, but no clues to her whereabouts. Her family says she had struggled with substance abuse, but at 45, Rhonda Day was getting her life together. Hers was a future filled with promise, a future that vanished with her.
Your whole outlook changes, your whole way of viewing, I guess, the world, makes you more realize the evils that are out there, I guess.
And so the family waits for as long as it takes for that one person to come forward with that one bit of information that will end the search for Rhonda Day. In Lebanon Junction, David Mattingly, Wave News.
All right. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. Oh, if I push the right thing here. I don't know. It's said that they didn't, they brought the cadaver dogs out. The cadaver dogs didn't, they searched this friend's house that she was at and left from, allegedly. They searched the house, they searched sniffed the house, sniffed the truck, didn't hit on anything apparently. I mean, so I don't know. But you just always have to, obviously the last person that she was known to have been with or to have seen in any missing persons case is obviously going to be the first person that you at least talk to, get that information. Very well maybe that he, whoever this friend was, had nothing to do with it. She did leave, but like I said, they found the car just a mile away from this person's house. I mean, but they said she did not. Well, no, she had her phone. She didn't have her phone charger or her iPad charger. So I'm assuming she had her phone. She could have called if she would, if she had car trouble, it looks like she would have called somebody. Or if the phone was dead or whatever, didn't have a signal. If it would have been me, now this is just me. Obviously, everybody's going to do different things in the situation. I would have been just a mile away from where you left from. If my phone wasn't working, I would just head back, that mile to back to the friend's house. So, but I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what kind of terrain it was. If it, in a rural area, or if there was something maybe closer to the friend's house that she could have walked to, like a gas station, something of that nature. So I don't know. But let me get caught up in your comments and we'll get to the next one. Junior said, talking about the Guess Who he got tickets for. They had a lot of good songs and tickets weren't really expensive. Yeah, our Bryan Adams tickets were only, like I said, they're lower bowl, which is not floor seats, but it's, the first level. It's not the nosebleed, up the stairs. And they were only like $72 a piece. I mean, that's good these days for a concert ticket, So yeah, I was really happy with the price. Get caught up. Try not to yeah, Junior says it's crazy when $125 is considered cheap. Yeah, first concert tickets, yeah, $125. Because we were like, we'll go up to maybe $150 to pay, because I could not find any, before the general admission or went on sale to the general public after all the pre-sales. I couldn't even find any, basic pricing just to kind of get an idea of if we could even afford it. But yeah, $125 is very cheap these days for a concert ticket. I remember back in the day, we were talking about back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, especially the 80s, you could get, if you have, like $25, you were saying you get like a concert, a ticket for $15 and the t-shirt for $10 and you were good. And now you got to give an arm and a leg for everything. Junior says he likes green eyes. Yep. Yeah, that's the podcast I was talking about. I just didn't want to say the M word, the red room word. But yeah, the M Police podcast, her cousin and aunt described Rhonda's laughter as infectious. Yes, absolutely. See, that's why I wish, and I know Josh is so good at finding newspaper articles or online articles that I can't find. But I just wish that there was a little bit more information out there. So I'm going to have to listen so her cousin and her aunt were on the podcast. I'm gonna have to listen to that episode and see if they had any other additional, information that wasn't released publicly. Hey, Butterfly Kisses, good to see you. Okay, so Josh says Lebanon Junction is a small town just It's only 35 miles south of Louisville. So why would she have said that it was going to take her unless she wasn't going to leave until later? That she wasn't going to get there till like 4 a.m. That's why I was just in my mind guessing that it was a pretty good ways. So 35 miles is not, you could drive that in what, an hour, 30 minutes to an hour, depending. So yeah, because we're only like 35 miles from like North Little Rock, and it takes us, depending on traffic, 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour if the traffic's bad to get there. So maybe she wasn't planning, like I said, maybe she was not planning to leave until later on if she told her grandma that she wasn't going to be home until like 4 a.m. Oh, good. I don't feel so bad now. Josh says there's not much out there as far as information. Good. I don't feel so bad now. I try to just do all the, search as deep as I can on the Google machine, to try to find just any little tidbits of information besides the Charley Project. And sometimes I just come up empty on a lot of these cases. Josh says, yeah, the friend appears to be the last person to see her. Yeah, see, I'm wondering, I don't know. But now just because the dog did not, and once again, I'm not saying that this friend that last saw her had anything to do with it, but they said the dogs didn't hit on any scents in the residence or the truck, but now it could have been happened somewhere else, Paula says, is it possible that she could have walked away? Yes, absolutely. See, that's my other, I'm trying to go through, I always try to do my best to use my little bit of thinking, reasoning skills that I have, to come up with different scenarios of what could have happened. I mean, entirely possible that, the car broke down, ran out of gas, she got out to walk, either back to the friend's house or to somewhere that may have been closer, depending on, how rural an area it was. And then something happened to her then when she was walking. So yeah, entirely possible. Josh says the podcast says that she painted rocks for kids to find. I love those painted rocks. I've never found one though. She painted rocks for kids to find in parks, and she was an animal lover. Man. Yeah, Junior says she's a bigger girl, 5'4", 185 pounds. You're not going to just pick her up and walk away. I know. So, I mean, if somebody did snatch her, they had to have had a vehicle or some means to, to get her out of there. I mean, it don't matter how, I mean, and if it's a case where they overpowered her, maybe bonked her on the head, knocked her out, dead weight is dead weight. It don't matter if you're 185 pounds or 85 pounds. It's still, unless you're a big, strong dude or girl or woman, I suppose, either way, dead weight is dead weight, and it's hard to manage. But I see what you're saying, Junior. Absolutely. Okay. So Josh says Rhonda would get out of her car to move turtles off the road. Yes, I do that all the time. It makes me think about her abandoned car. So then we have another possibility, but then what did they do with her body? That if she had gotten out of her car to move a turtle off the road and somebody accidentally hit her, panicked, and took the body somewhere. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going that, to me, like, once again, everybody reacts different to situations. But if I accidentally hit somebody with a car, first thing I'm doing is stopping, checking on them, calling 911. But I mean, we know that these situations have happened before where somebody accidentally takes somebody's life, and then just panics and does something with the body. But Or, you know, she could have been out there and in the road, and somebody came by with nefarious intent and said, there's a woman out here by herself. And just snatched her. Oh, that's why these are just so frustrating when you want to know what happened. Obviously, you know, the family wants to know what happened. We, as persons who are interested in share missing persons cases, want to know what happened. Okay, so the friend that she was last seen with. So Josh said the podcast describes Rhonda's friend as a childhood friend. Interesting. But still, I mean, like I said, once again, I'm absolutely not saying that this friend had anything to do with it, but and unfortunately, like I said, you know, we've come up with, I don't know how many scenarios that could have happened. Yeah, Rhonda did live with her grandmother. Yeah, Mustangs, has red flags. Ah, okay, so that would make a little bit more sense. So Josh said her car was found near 8600 Ohio River. There's a water treatment plant or something that takes up that entire 8600 block. So now we have not necessarily a body of water, but don't those water treatment plants have outside? You wouldn't have to go inside the building. They have like an area where the water is outside. I want to kind of liken it to like a swimming pool. I know it's not like, you know, an outside area where I'm sure that, well, let's hope that police did search that area in the water. Because we all know about finding remains in water. That's interesting. Interesting. Josh is going to have me going down the rabbit hole even more on this one. Ooh, Junior see Barbara Streisand. He says, I saw Barbara Streisand and had tickets in the orchestra pit, and they were $200 in 1994. Wow, Barbara Streisand. Memories in the corner of my... Oh, man. Junior's seen all the good ones. Yeah, Ms. Z says there were multiple people. This is true. Yeah, I mean, like I said, she did not get, I mean, she only made it a mile before whatever happened, or, well, that we know of. The car was found a mile. That could have been that she did get out and walk further away before whatever happened to her happened. But yeah, it's just, these are the ones that keep me up at night. Josh says his ex years ago had a whole collection of the painted rocks. Ask her where she got them. She said out on the trail. Yeah, people will do these painted rocks just for different, just because to try to give somebody people some inspiration, some hope, some, you know. And then some of them do them for causes, you know, like, you know, if you had a friend that passed away, or a child that passed away, or a parent that passed away, just for different reasons, people do these rocks. I said, I don't think that I remember, I was never able to find one. Yeah, Junior says they were saying that Nancy Guthrie would have been very hard to handle. She was 150 pounds, probably, and more than one person. Yeah, like I said, dead weight is dead weight. It doesn't matter if you're 185 pounds or 85 pounds. You know, that's 85 pounds of dead weight. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. You know, it's going to take one very, very strong person or more than one person. Absolutely. Oh, so Josh says it's not a water treatment plant. It's a Marathon Petroleum facility. I would still hope that they checked it. Josh says it's an industrial area. Why would her car be there? Good question. That's why I'm questioning why. I mean, Well, there are multiple reasons why she only got a mile down the road. You know, obviously the number one reason would be car trouble, either ran out of gas or the car quit working. But what happened to her after that? Did she try to get out and walk and somebody found her on the road and snatched her? Or, you know, we had the scenario that somebody accidentally may have hit her on the road and panicked and just took her body and hid it somewhere. I mean, it might have been easy to find a place to hide her body somewhere in that petroleum plant. I don't know. Or, you know, I don't know. Or did she even leave the house? I mean, according to the friend, she did. So we'll go with that. But Josh says it's right off the Greenbelt River. So see, you add a river into it. Oh, I don't know. Just something tells me that regardless of a friend or not, or somebody else, whoever it was, that she did not, or her, whatever happened to her. Now, it's possible if it's close, if it's right off, Josh says right off the Greenbelt River, she was walking, had maybe decided to walk down to the river, accidentally fell in, and just, once again, we all know how hard it is to find people in water. Or if somebody had nefarious intentions and one or multiple people, whatever happened, and then just took her body down to the river. And to me, because in my opinion, she did not make it much more, this is just my opinion, much more further, unless somebody just threw her in the car and took off with her, didn't make it that much further than that 1 mile it was from the house. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Once again, I don't know how many people, if she was out walking, if the car quit working and she was walking, you know, how many people, how many cars would have came by and seen her walking. I don't know. Yeah, Gina says pet rocks were huge in the mid 70s. Yep, I remember the pet rocks. Chia Pet, yeah, Mustang mentioned Chia Pets. Yeah, I remember Chia Pets. Josh says there's a grocery store on the other side of the highway. Interesting. You know, that's why, I mean, as far as all the information I could find, nobody saw her or has come forward, remembered. Like I said, you can see something before you know a person is missing, and then even years later you might see a picture or hear some bit of information, say, hey, I saw that person in the gas station, or I saw somebody walking down the road that matched this description. But you know, nobody so far has come forward if they saw her walking on the road, if they saw her, if she went to this gas station, if she had car problems, you know. Yeah, Chris says the car could have been planted there. Absolutely. Lance is back. Welcome back. Josh says Cane Run Road is on the back side of the industry buildings. Gotcha. So like I said, hopefully they checked all those buildings, that whole area. Josh says there's a river trailhead that intersects with the 8600 block of Cane Run. All right, so I'm still going to be puzzling over this one, but we will move on to our next one. We have Mario Douglas. Mario has been missing since November 24th of 2022 from Louisville. He's classified as endangered missing. He is a black male. He was 29 years old when he went missing, 5'7" to 5'8" tall, and 160 to 170 pounds. With black hair and brown eyes. His left ear is pierced. He has a tattoo of the ram, the astrological symbol for Aries, on his upper back. And it says he has a tattoo of his last name, Douglas, on his upper back, and a tattoo of a red cardinal on his upper arm. And he was last known to be wearing all black clothing and a white toboggan cap. So this is another one where he was parting ways with his brother, and then he never made it home. And unfortunately, I was not able to find maybe any additional information that I was able to find on Mario. So he was last seen with his brother in the Waterford Park area in downtown Louisville on November 24th, 2022. This was around 12:30 p.m., so just after midnight. Or no, excuse me, just after noon. It says they went their separate ways. The brother returned to their home in New Albany, Indiana. Mario has not been heard from after they parted ways. So I'm assuming they were both going back to the same house, maybe, because it says their home. And just were in separate vehicles, and the brother made it and Mario didn't. He disappeared. Something happened between when they parted ways and their home. So his family stated that he was upset over personal matters at the time of his disappearance. They do fear for his safety, so it could be. We don't always like to think about it, but it could be for something else happened. A few details are available in this case, but if you do have any information, once again, you can call the Louisville Metro PD at 502-574-7111. And once again, maybe I did have an article. I don't know if it had any additional information. If it'll come up. Oh, it did. Look at that. So this is article is from December 5th, 2022. Louisville police asking for public's help to find missing 29-year-old man. Says the Louisville Metro PD is asking for the public's help finding a missing 29-year-old man. According to a news release, Mario Douglas was last seen around 12:30. Well, this says 12:30 a.m. Charley Project says p.m. Either way, but then it would make a difference to me if it was daytime or nighttime. Anyway, this was on Thanksgiving Day, November 24th at Waterfront Park. Family members said that he was upset about what they called a personal situation, and they do fear for his safety. Once again, he is around 5'7" tall, 160-pound, black male, black hair, brown eyes. Excuse me. Once again, anyone with information on his whereabouts is asked to call 502-574-LMPD. So that was about all I was able to find about Mario. Let me see. One second. Oh, Josh says there's a Mario Douglas NFL player for the Patriots. Yeah. That makes searching difficult. Yeah, I was not able to find just this one. Of course, I just do basic Google searches. But I do try to go in, like 5 or 6 pages deep at least, to try to find stuff. But yeah, I was not able to find a whole lot on Mario. Are you talking about Mario? Lance says, I have a feeling there's a woman involved in his disappearance. Interesting. I wonder if because his family members did say that he was upset about a personal situation. It could have been a girlfriend, wife, significant other, whatever the case may be. That might have been the personal situation that he was upset about. Yep, Junior says he has family in Kentucky, my mother's side. Yep, I know you used to split your time a lot between Kentucky and Michigan. Lance says just a feeling. Yeah, like I said, it could have been that's the personal situation that he was upset about. Maybe he had a fight with his girlfriend or whatever, girlfriend, wife. Josh says, Missing People in America describes his last seen close to Louisville Slugger Field near the Ohio River. Once again, with the bodies of water. All right, so we will, maybe Josh can dig up some more information about Mario. But that is all I was able to find. And I thank Josh so much. He's always, when he comes to the lives, he's always digging for information on these cases. So I appreciate it so much. So next we have, and I should have had the article or Charley Project loading. Ann Gotlib. Unsure. Once again, I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Now, apparently, because she does have a Wikipedia page, so apparently this one did get some attention, but I'd never heard of it. I don't think. Maybe just in passing, I'd read mention of it at some point, because her face does look familiar. But Ann has been missing since June 1st of 1983 from Louisville. This is classified as a non-family abduction and probably a homicide, unfortunately. She is a white female. She was just 12 years old when she went missing. She would be 54 years old as of 2026. And that smaller picture is an age progression to 49 years old. I'm from NCMEC. So when she went missing, she was 5'1", 85 pounds, with red hair and gray eyes. It says she has freckles, which you can see in the picture there. She has moles on her lower back. Her ears are pierced. It says her eyebrows are very light colored, so that would definitely stand out for anyone who may have seen anything. She was a Russian Jewish immigrant. She spoke fluent Russian and English. She and her family arrived in the United States in 1980. Some agencies give her first name as Anna instead of just Ann. She was last known to be wearing a red and white shirt, navy blue shorts with white stripes on the sides, beige sneakers, and gold earrings with purple stones. And they did find her bicycle. It is accounted for. So the Charley Project pretty much had a lot of information. I did include her Wikipedia page. We may take a look at it and see if there's anything mentioned. But Ann was last seen in her hometown of Louisville on June 1st, 1983. She was riding her red and white bicycle from the Bashford Manor Mall, which, if I read correctly, was just right across the street from where she lived, from her residence or apartments. Well, I don't know if it was apartments or house. So she was riding her bike from the mall back to her family's residence between 5:30 and 6 p.m. Her bicycle was later found propped up against a brick pillar outside of the Bacon's department store, which was in the mall. She never arrived home. She has not been seen or heard from again. And the mall was across the street from her Gerald Court home. So it was a home. So 3 days after Ann's disappearance, a police bloodhound picked up her scent around a ditch near the mall. And twice, this same dog led investigators to the window of an apartment across the street. This was a residence of a girl named Esther, or a lady named Esther, who was the grandmother of Ann's best friend, Tanya. So it probably wouldn't be unusual if she, maybe ran, I don't know if it's across the street or on the same side of the street. Possible that she would go to her friend's window, how kids are, knock on the window, and they would open the window and talk through the window. So maybe that's why the dogs hit on that scent. So Tanya, the friend, was the last person to see Ann before she vanished. I think they were at the mall together, or they'd been at the mall together and they parted ways at the mall, the entrance to, or the exit to the parking lot, or from the parking lot. Esther said that Ann had never visited her apartment. Once again, it could be possible that she never went inside the apartment, but just up to the window Officials eventually concluded that the dog erred when distracted by the smell of cooking food. The entire family was checked. That family, the friend's family, they were all cleared of any involvement. There was speculation that Anne had run away because she was having trouble adjusting to life in America. I think her family, from everything I read, her family basically said no, that they, possible, but they didn't think it was likely. Her loved ones say that Anne was not unusually anxious, and if she had decided to run away, she probably would have contacted them eventually and taken money and some of her favorite possessions with her. There were several reported sightings of her, particularly in the Brighton Beach neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York, which has a high concentration of Russian immigrants. None of these sightings were ever confirmed. So there was this, I would call it a conspiracy theory, the crazy outlandish ones, that a theory that she had been kidnapped by agents of the Soviet GOV, some kind of attempt to make her family come back home. They were like, okay, whatever. They basically ruled that out instantly. In December of 2008, authorities announced they believed that Gregory Lewis Oakley Jr. was responsible for Anne's abduction and probable homicide. And that smaller picture that's in the red box, that is Mr. Oakley Jr. He had once, this was a bad dude, obviously. So he had once abducted his own stepdaughter. So just trigger warning, I have the banner at the bottom, or the ticker at the bottom, but just kind of a trigger warning for this next bit of information. So he once abducted his own stepdaughter, injected her with a painkiller to sedate her. He was charged with attempted homicide in that case, but he eventually pleaded guilty to just assault. In September of 1983, Oakley attacked a police officer's 13-year-old daughter in her home. He stabbed her, attempted to SA her. Fortunately, she survived. So he was arrested for that crime in January of 1984, and he was then questioned when he was arrested for that crime against the police officer's daughter. I guess they went, kind of put two and two together and said, hey, let's maybe ask him about Anne's disappearance. So they questioned him about Anne's case. He denied involvement, but according to police, he did fail a polygraph test. When questioned about Anne, and bank records proved that he made an ATM transaction at the Bashford Manor Mall, which is the last place Anne was seen, where her bicycle was found, just about an hour and a half before Anne disappeared. Oakley said that he left Louisville on a business trip immediately after he finished at the bank. So in June of 1984, Oakley was convicted of burglary and attempted SA. I'm assuming it was in the police officer daughter's case. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison for that. He was paroled on medical grounds in 2002. He returned to his native home state of Alabama. He passed away of lung cancer months later. Then in September of 2008, an inmate who had served time in prison with Oakley told authorities that Oakley, I'm assuming this inmate went off of what this inmate claimed that Oakley told him while they were in prison together. So this inmate said that Oakley had taken the life of Anne with an injection of the painkiller Talwin. And apparently Oakley was a veterinarian, and he would have had easy access to this particular painkiller. So the informant did take a polygraph test about this information that he was giving. And I think either in the Wikipedia page or an article that I had, he did pass the polygraph test. So evidently he at least believed that this information was true. And then also one of Oakley's former girlfriends did corroborate this story. She said that at 11 p.m. on the night that Ann disappeared, that Oakley came to her Louisville home and asked her to wash some clothes for him. This contradicts his story that he left Louisville that afternoon before Ann disappeared. Investigators stated that if Oakley was alive today, based on the evidence that they now have available, that he would be charged with Ann's homicide. But the investigation into Ann's case remains active, and authorities hope they can find her body at some point, obviously, for the family. It says her family or her parents still live in the Louisville area and are hopeful that the case will someday be resolved. So, yeah, at the very least, like I said, Oakley was not a good guy. I mean, he attacked his old stepdaughter. He attacked a police officer's daughter. You know, just. But once again, if you do have any information on this one, you can call the FBI Louisville, Kentucky office at 502-583-3941. So let me see let me see if the, oh my goodness, if I can find where am I at? There I am. Can't find the right bookmarks. If there is any other additional information in the Charley or the Wikipedia page. So it says she was born May 5th, 1971. Once again, she was a Soviet Jewish immigrant. Her family had moved there. It says the case to find her abductor was covered heavily by the Louisville news media and stretched for the next 25 years until a person of interest, this Oakley fellow, was eventually identified. So I remember one thing that I did read from the article, just in case it didn't come up, was that apparently, because her bicycle was found propped up against a pillar or the wall or something there at the mall. And in one of the articles that I read, it mentioned that the kickstand on her bike was broken, so she would lay her bike down flat on the ground since the kickstand didn't work. So that kind of is what led police, since they found the bike propped up, that's, somebody else obviously left the bike there, propped it up after they took her. It says the FBI headed the investigation. Police followed up on thousands of leads. They questioned between 30 and 40 suspects over the years. So once again, 3 days after her disappearance is when the police dog traced her scent to the apartment of her friend, to the window. Once again, that family was thoroughly investigated. They were cleared. So they go over the conspiracy theory again. Yeah. So apparently in 1990, a Texas DR inmate, Michael Lee Lockhart, claimed to have taken Ann's life and buried her body at Fort Knox. He eventually provided a map of the burial site, supposedly, but after a thorough investigation, police found no physical evidence to verify his claim. So yeah, then it just goes into everything that Oakley did, all his that we talked about earlier. Now, this is one thing that I did read on the Wikipedia, and somebody can let me know if it's true or not. Once again, a lot of things that are on Wikipedia I do take with a grain of salt also. But in one section, they do say, due to the startling way in which Gotlib Ann had vanished in broad daylight without any trace, it was a key case that led the United States Congress to actually create NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, in 1984, to coordinate departments involved in missing persons cases. The center credits Ann's case with increasing national awareness of missing and abducted children and revolutionizing how missing child cases are handled. One new technique that came out of the investigation was the use of billboards and other tactics to generate widespread awareness of a missing person, which was considered futile, according to conventional wisdom at the time. So now we see, thankfully, a lot of the missing persons billboards. Give me one second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Once again, my sinuses are killing me here. So yes, that's true. I never knew that. I mean, obviously, I wasn't been aware of NCMEC, but didn't know that Ann's case was one of the what they call the key case that led to the creation of NCMEC. So that was about all that Wikipedia has. Let me see. So I did find an article where her dad did pass away. I don't think I'm going to read all that. It didn't really give any additional information. So he passed away 40 years after she disappeared. So he went to his grave, unfortunately, without knowing truly what happened. Oh, well, I can't read the article anyway because it's behind a paywall now. But yeah, just so sad for these families. 40 years and then he passes away. But I mean, from everything the police have said and the corroborating story that from the inmate and Oakley's girlfriend, just all the evidence, they said they had enough evidence to basically charge him with Ann's homicide if he were still alive. So, but obviously it would be ideal for the ideal situation. Well, no, the ideal situation was that it never happened or that she's alive and well somewhere. But, past that, just to be able to know where her remains were, to be able to bring her home. So let me see if this article had. So this article is from WLKY. It is from May of 2015. Missing in the Metro and Gotlib, Louisville's oldest case. I think it does have some statements or some interview with maybe some of the LE that worked it. Louisville's oldest missing persons case continues to baffle detectives more than 30 years after it began. Even though police have named a suspect in the disappearance of 12-year-old Ann Gotlib, a detective said the case is open and tips are coming in. FBI agent Ed Armento said, quote, "Every year on Ann's birthday, which is also my daughter's birthday, I think of Ann in that case," end quote. So Armento is supposed to celebrate his daughter's birthday on May 5th, but the day is a constant reminder of the case that he cannot solve. Armento says, quote, "Many of our leads come from psychics, believe it or not, and we also had some leads from serial child offenders, the P word, that were incarcerated at the time who were providing information, which in most cases it turned out to be bogus," end quote. He says there was one lead, one suspect who has been named and connected to the case repeatedly, which is Gregory Oakley. Armento said, quote, "He was a suspect early on in the case, but the problem was he had an alibi from his girlfriend. Then when he passed away, the girlfriend provided significant information to the police department, which implicated him in the case," end quote. And that does happen so many times. I mean, if you were to say that there was anything good that came out of cold cases like this, is the fact that the more years that pass, people pass away, maybe suspects or persons of interest that somebody does have some information on, somebody close to them, such as spouse, significant other, family member, that they're just not at that time when the crime happens, they're not willing to say anything because that person is still there, and either out of loyalty or fear, they just don't say anything. But then as time passes, the years go by, like I said, either the person they had information about passes away, their relationship breaks up, they move away, put some distance between them and that person, then they come out with the information. So like I said, if there's, a silver lining to any of these older cases, it is that people do come forward after so many years. Situations change, relationships change, and they do get some information. So once again, Oakley, we went over all his crimes. He passed away of cancer. So in 2008, Louisville Metro PD named Oakley as a suspect, but prosecutors decided not to charge him posthumously. Since then, LMPD has created a missing persons unit and reopened the case, and they are now focused on one piece of evidence from the scene, which was Ann's bicycle. So this is what I was referring to about her bicycle. So Armento said, quote, Ann Gotlib knew the kickstand was broken. All of her friends and family told us that she never used the kickstand. Whenever she went anywhere with a bike, she laid the bike down on its side. She never used the kickstand. When we found the bike, it was leaning against the wall of Bacon's department store at the mall. The kickstand was down, which gave us reason to believe that whoever put the bicycle against the wall was not Ann, end quote. Missing persons detective Mike Perry plans to retest evidence gathered after her disappearance. Obviously, forensic testing has improved since the 1980s, and the results may shed light on what happened to Ann. Detective Perry said there was a fingerprint that was taken off the bicycle that was reviewed through the records at the time with no match. So obviously they would have Oakley's, being that he was in prison, they would most definitely have his fingerprints on record. It says a lot of details of Ann's disappearance remains a mystery. Investigators know the 12-year-old vanished on the first day of her summer break at around 5:30 p.m. She was visiting a friend not far from home. So Detective Perry said, quote, they stayed there for about an hour or so. Ann's mother called and told Ann to come home. Both girls left the apartment and rode down Bashford Manor Lane, where they got to the parking lot of the mall. At that time, to my understanding, Ann's friend said, I'll see you later, waved goodbye to Ann. She left, and that's the last time that she was seen. So Ann's disappearance, once again, we talked about the changes, the creation of NCMEC. So obviously the case is now more than, it says 30 years old when this article was written, but it still haunts the community, the family, and investigators. So the FBI agent Armento said, quote, I do know that it has affected a number of agents that work the case. In fact, the case agent who is now deceased probably was driven into early retirement because of this case and experienced some bad health after his retirement, which probably is attributable to the stress he was under and the feeling that he left the FBI without solving the investigation, without bringing the family some closure, end quote. I can't imagine what these, obviously we talk about everything that the families go through, but we also have to remember the police officers, detectives, everybody who works on these cases. It does affect them also. And if they can't, if they have a case, like I said, this one that Agent Armento mentioned that had worked the case until he, had to retire, and just without ever solving it, and just how that affects them also. So Detective Perry said the case will never be closed until Ann is found. It says she would have turned 44, which she's born the same year I was, so she would be around 54, 53, 54 in 2026. So I just can't imagine. I mean, in broad daylight, it's like this mentioned with the Charley Project, or the when creating NCMEC, it just, how could, one of the reasons I said was, how could a child, somebody snatch a child in broad daylight? Nobody sees anything, and just, it's been unsolved for so long. All right, let me get caught up in the comments, and I think we got a couple more. Let me get a drink right quick. I see Heather Brown has snuck in. Hello, Miss Hebby. Good to see you, ma'am. Always good to see Heather. Okay, I see Josh has already got information up here. Let me go back to where I was at. Like I said, I was surprised when I went to search because I don't think, like I said, maybe in passing I'd seen the name or seen her face because her face does look familiar, but I don't think I ever really, unless it was just a long time ago and I just don't remember, done any deep dive into her case. But when I went to search for articles, the first thing that popped up was a Wikipedia page. I was like, man, okay. So this one has got its own she's got her own Wikipedia page. But so it did get, attention. And like I said, if that correct information is correct, led to the creation of NCMEC. Okay, I think I went back too far. Hold on. I forgot to mark where I left off at. Okay, so going back, see if I can go back without messing everything up. Did I go back enough? Nope. To Mario, I knew Josh would find some more information. He says Crime Solvers Central says that Mario and his brother decided to visit Waterfront Park right on the Ohio River. They decided to part ways as Mario was dealing with a personal situation. So once again, we have the body of water. So it says they parted ways. They apparently were traveling. I'm still assuming they lived in the same residence because it said they were going to head back to their house, but apparently in different vehicles. So I'm assuming that the brother left first and Mario was still there. Always scares me when there's water around, either accidentally or otherwise. Could have went into the water. Did I miss a comment? Chris said, I think on Ann's case, I agree with you, Paula, and mystery. Okay, Josh says there are a lot of TikToks about Mario's case. I'm assuming locals. Yeah, it would have to be because I said I could not find anything except for that one that, the police were looking for him, trying to find him. Yeah, so going back to see if I can go forward to the right slide. Okay, so Josh says, I'm reading again from the Courier Journal, and it has an article about a rabbi making a TV appeal who then got a call from someone saying they should search a wooded area near Eastern Parkway to find Ann. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I read that. Yeah, I might have read that in an article because several articles popped up about her. Yeah, they didn't mention that. That's interesting. Yeah, because I did find an article. I did have an article where her dad passed away. That might have been the same rabbi that officiated the church they went to. Their rabbi maybe was the one that made the TV pleading on the TV. Yeah, unless they said how long ago was the tip. I'm assuming it's, I don't know, maybe when maybe before. But yeah, because her dad passed away like 40 years after she went missing. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying about, we have also got to think about the investigators who work on these cases. Josh says, I'm reading another article with the lead detective's wife in Ann's case saying he is obsessing every detail to find Ann and not sleeping. Yeah, I can just can't imagine. So Josh says that a tip about searching for her in a particular area appeared to have come in just a couple of weeks after Ann's disappearance. Interesting. Does it say if they went out there and looked? See, Josh finds all these articles. He says, I'm reading another 1983 article. 3 witnesses. One woman claims to have seen a man dragging a girl across a field near where she was last seen, but did not initially report. Thought it was just a parent being too rough. Interesting. Two other teenagers independently came forward saying they saw a man dragging a girl in the woods near the mall. So that's 2 different sets of witnesses, or a woman and the 2 teenagers independently. So was this area close to the mall? Yeah, okay, duh. If I would have paid attention to what I was just reading, dragging a girl into the woods near the mall. Same area. And nobody, I mean, I could understand, yeah. I've seen it before where, we all know how kids are. Parents got, dragging the child by the hand, a child that's not wanting to do what the parent wants them to do. I mean, we always have to be aware, but sometimes it is just a parent trying to get a child to do what they want them to do, what they're supposed to be doing. But sometimes it's not. So, I mean, how do you know when to, especially if it's a very young child that can't. Now, you would think in Anne's case, she was 12 years old. So you would think that if somebody was trying to drag her away, unless she was just incapacitated some way, which she could have been, she would have been yelling and screaming, hey, somebody help me. I don't know this person. They're, just interesting that nobody, if I'm reading what you're saying correctly, nobody came forward at the time. Yep, there's Miss Heather. See, Josh, I actually found a sketch. Josh, I wish you were free on Mondays and I would have you come up here with me every Monday. He says, wow, the original 1983 sketch is eerily similar to the suspect. Yeah, like I said, that smaller picture in the red box on the slide is Oakley. Yeah, I'm assuming, Chris asked which suspect. I'm assuming Oakley. It's always good to see you too, Miss Heather. Yeah, Josh says her house is across the street from the mall. Yeah, I thought that's what I remembered reading. And once again, so Josh found 2 other men. So we got the woman, the 2 teenagers, and now 2 other men driving by, saw a man holding a girl down in the field. Why are people not calling police? You would think. I mean, I grew up, I was in the 80s. I was a preteen, teen, young adult into the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, I know back, the 70s, 80s were a different time. Maybe people just didn't pay as much attention as we do now, that with social media, 24-hour news cycles, that we are just more aware of more, missing children and things that happen. But you would think that if you had, the woman, the 2 teenagers, the 2 men, does it say when they came forward with this information? Seeing a young girl being dragged around and held down in the field by an adult man, you would think that somebody would have called the police even back then. Oh, goodness gracious. Yep. Mustang agree. I agree. Oh, I watched that show too. Heather says the show Disappeared creeps me out as far as missing people go. Yeah, I watched that. I think it's on ID channel maybe, or A&E. It's on one of them. Yeah, I do watch that. God, because I watch that. Well, I watch anything on ID unless I've seen it 20 times. But on ID, they have a show called Evil Lives Here, I think is what it's called. Man, those creep me out. It's basically about people that either related to or married somebody that turned out to be a serial offender or just a horrible psycho. I think it's called Evil Lives Here. It's just those, I can't watch those and stuff. I mean, okay, real stuff like that creeps me out. You know, I could watch horror movies all night long. I could sleep like a baby because I know they're not real. But I've got to where I can't watch any, you know, like the Evil Lives Here or anything like that before I go to sleep. I will have horrible nightmares. Yeah, Chris says back then people didn't have cell phones. True, but you still had, and you would think that. I'm trying to think back to the malls that I went to in the 80s. You had payphones, usually at least one outside of a mall, and people usually back then still had change in their pocket. Somebody could have gone into one of the stores in the mall. They have access to landlines and say, hey, there's a guy out there that was dragging a little girl. Can you call the police? Just have them check it out. But I do understand what you're saying. It is much, much easier these days with all the cell phones to immediately, 2 seconds, you got your phone out calling 911. But yeah, with 3 separate groups of individuals saying that they saw this. Okay, so Josh says he found an article describing where the sketch of the suspect came from, a rendition of a man who essayed 10-year-old girl and harassed women at a nearby Jewish community center. I wonder, well, I don't know. I think Oakley, as I said, I wonder if Oakley would have, had been the kind that had problems with, what do they call it, anti-Semitic, basically being a horrible person. I think he was just a creeper and a psycho, and just my opinion, because just from going off of what he did to his own stepdaughter and to the police officer's daughter, who I think they were around 12, 13 years old, around the same age as Ann. Ann was 12. I think his stepdaughter was 13. I don't know. I can't remember if it said how old the cop's daughter was. But yeah, I think he was just a psycho, in my opinion, psychotic, creeper. We all know what creeper means. Yeah, just from the limited information that we have about him. And, we have the story corroborated by the girlfriend and the former person he was in prison with, that he's, I guess, I'm assuming, told them, or told to the inmate. And then the ex-girlfriend said that he came by her house that night, which contradicted his story to the police, and wanted her to wash some clothes. It'd be interesting to know if the clothes that he wanted her to wash, I'm assuming maybe were his. Did it say clothes or items? I don't remember. Possible evidence. Of course, she would have had no way of knowing. You would assume that she would have no way of knowing, maybe they had dirt on them. Maybe they had some other kind of evidence, blood or something like that. Dirt at the very least. Yeah, Josh says the community center teachers described Anna as a very bright student. She was a serious thinker. Yeah. And skipped the 5th grade and advanced early. So she was a very smart young girl. Yeah. Heather said, my favorite next to Unsolved Mysteries is definitely Disappeared. And the one I was talking about, The Evil Lives Here. I know. That Evil Lives Here and Disappeared, because I watched Disappeared a lot. Yeah, they do creep me out. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think you could call. Josh said payphones also would call emergency numbers free. As far as I know, I had to when I was a kid once. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and like I said, there had to be at least one payphone somewhere outside, like the main entrance. I'm trying to remember back 30 some odd, 40 some odd years to the 80s. When we go to the mall, to our local, to one of the North Little Rock malls, which is the closest mall to where, my little village here. there was at least, I mean, there was at least one payphone by every main entrance to the mall, if I remember correctly, or right inside the doors at the very least, there was payphones. Yep, Junior says you would think someone would grab a bat or a tire iron and go make him let her go. Absolutely. See, that's what I was kind of thinking, is that back in the 80s, that would have probably, in my opinion, just from what I remember back then. Yeah, back then, if guy, if men would see another man dragging a little girl that they, when she was screaming help or whatever, which, like I said, she's 12 years old, she's definitely going to be able to verbalize that she needs help. Yeah, it would be more likely to me that instead of running in to call the police, like, and obviously that is the right thing to do, but yeah, they would have posseed up and went and grabbed whatever was handy to go rescue the girl from the bad man. You are correct. Don't be, Heather's talking about the white vans now, don't you? Yeah, white vans equal creepers. Oh God, I don't know if Doodle is still here, but she sent me the funniest little short. I don't know if it was a TikTok video. Oh my God. On my Facebook Messenger. Speaking about white vans. Oh, it was so funny. Anyway. So Josh says in another article, Anne was also at the community center that afternoon. Sorry. Keep scrolling on my phone through the comments and it's pushing my phone back here. Paula, I'm assuming you're talking about Ann's case, says, has he, I'm assuming you mean Oakley, been charged in this case yet? No, he passed away, and apparently, I don't remember if this article that I was reading, he passed away, I can't remember, of cancer at some point. But in 2008, Louisville Metro PD did name him as a suspect, but prosecutors decided not to charge him posthumously, meaning after he's already deceased. So even though he is, they think pretty much, yeah, he's the one that, kidnapped her and is, most likely took her life, that, yeah, they just didn't charge. I mean, but if he's already deceased, I mean, I can understand, and I don't know what the family's feeling was about. It might have said in the other article I had about when her dad passed away, how they felt about bringing charges posthumously. But I mean, if he's already deceased, it wouldn't really, there's really nothing they can do except say, hey, he's the one that did it. But that's a good question. Josh says he just found an article that has pictures of Anne's hope buttons. So the hope button, I was fixing to look at what the hope buttons are. Josh said the hope buttons had a pig of Anne and missing, please help. Oh. Seeing a lot of people were talking about those painted rocks. I've seen a lot in some of the, hold on. I just accidentally unplugged my laptop from the charger. Anyway. A lot of people do paint. It has to do with missing persons. I can't, some website or whatever, to try to keep, get any information or just keep their missing loved one's name out there, that have maybe websites or a Facebook page or things of that nature. Well, yeah. Paula said, WTF, big mistake. Are you talking about not charging him? Well, he was already deceased. So, I mean, what are you going to do to him? Like I said, other than, I mean, I can't remember if it said how the family felt, if they think that he should have been charged. posthumously, but I mean, what are you going to do? He's already deceased. He was a horrible person by all accounts. You know, like I said, unless the family just wanted them to do it just for some kind of satisfaction, some kind of maybe, you know, closure is a broad generalization, but just some kind of something in their daughter's case. I don't know. But really nothing you can do, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, Josh says he's found a lot of articles in Kentucky newspapers. Yeah. Yeah, on Ann's case, I found lots and lots of stuff. That's why I just stuck with the one article with the interviews, because I didn't find any really that really had any statements from the family, from her mom and dad. So I found that one that had statements from the law enforcement, some of the detectives that had been working on it, you know, and just stuck with that, or we would be here all night on this one. Really? So Josh says Ann was featured on the original broadcast of the movie Adam, which was about Adam Walsh. Interesting. I think I watched that movie a long, long time ago, and I don't know what year that movie came out. I think I remember watching it, one of those, you know, made for TV, back when you used to watch movies on TV, back in the old days. I think I remember watching that. Okay, I think I'm finally caught up now, so we will get to the next one. But please, absolutely, everybody in chat, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts that come up about any of these cases, put them in chat. If you're watching replay, please leave a comment with any questions, comments, thoughts on any of these cases, or just to say hi. And if you are replay crew, please do leave a comment down below to let me know that you are replay. We love our replay crew. All right, so who do we have next? This should be Lisa Marie Green. Yes, I had to make sure you go off the picture because my slideshow on my phone is very small. So Lisa has been missing since June 25th of 2014 from Louisville. She is a white female. She was just 31 years old at the time she went missing. She'll be 43 years old as of 2026. When she went missing, she was 5 feet tall, 125 pounds, with brown hair and green eyes. Her ears are pierced. She has small acne scars on her face and a small circular scar on the top of her left hand near her thumb. And her nicknames are Lou and Pooh Bear. And she was last known to be wearing a white t-shirt, pink shorts, and flip-flops. So Lisa Marie, whenever I say that, I think about Elvis's daughter. So Lisa was last seen in Louisville, once again on June 25th, 2014. She had been at her father's home on Gilmore Lane when she stepped outside through the back door. So this one is one that we say it vanished in the thin air, although we know it doesn't happen. She just, you know, walked out the door and she was never seen again. She wasn't even going to leave the house, I believe. Anyway, we'll get to that. So I think she was at her father. Yeah, she was at her father's home. I think she did live there with him. On Gilmore Lane, she stepped outside through the back door, never returned, has never been seen or heard from again. She left behind her purse, keys, ID, everything. So then, and this was, I think, sometime a little bit after, and I think in the article I have, it may go more into it. Sometime after she had disappeared, because I was confused when I first read this about how did somebody not do something if she left this note and then walked out the door. But anyway, so in a note that she left behind, Lisa stated that a friend of her boyfriend's had threatened to stalk her and attack her when she was alone. She wrote in this note that if anything happened to her, that this particular person, who I don't think they've ever named publicly that I could find, that this person, this friend of her boyfriend's, would be the one that would be responsible. So authorities stated that the man that Lisa named in the letter is a person of interest in her case, but no evidence ties him to her disappearance. Her loved ones stated that it would be uncharacteristic of her to be out of touch with her family, which includes 12 siblings, or to abandon her 2 children. Her family, unfortunately, does believe that she is deceased. So if you do have any information, call the Louisville Metro PD at 502-574-7120. So yeah, we're going to get into this note a little bit more because I think that the articles that I was able to find did mention it. But yeah, I was thinking, okay, if she left this note that said, hey, if anything happens to me, and then she walked out the door and disappeared, does that mean that she left of her own accord because she was afraid of this friend of her boyfriend's that said he was going to stalk her and attack her? But apparently they found this note. I don't know exactly, excuse me, when she wrote it, but they found it in her bedroom. I think written on the back of an envelope sometime after she disappeared, when maybe the police or her family was in there searching. They came across this note that said, hey, if anything happens to me, you need to look at so-and-so. So that would make more sense to me, that maybe, but that still doesn't make sense, obviously, that I think she was just going to go outside, sit on the porch, kind of relax, and then she just disappears and nobody sees her again. Once again, these are the ones that keep me up at night. So I think I was able to find a couple of articles. So this first one is from November 2024. Lisa Green vanished without a trace from her home in Newburgh in June 2014, and now her family is hoping they will finally get answers 10 years later. So once again, this is from a couple of years ago, 2024. So I think this is maybe her daughter. Says, quote, Lisa has 2 kids that will never get to know their mom. I have 2 kids that will never get to know the wonderful person that she was, end quote. It's been a decade of unanswered questions for Green's family. Now there is a renewed effort from LMPD to bring answers to the family. Leah Green says, quote, it's 10 birthdays, 10 Christmases, 10 Thanksgivings that they've had to go through without their mother, their grandmother. As the seasons change and time goes on, the hearts of Lisa Green's family remain tethered to the day that she excuse me, to the day that she disappeared. So I'm assuming it's Leah, is one of her daughters, says, quote, they tell you that it gets easier every day. It doesn't. I'll still drive down the road, as does my other sister, and every time we see a female on the road or in the road, we'll look and say, is that Lisa, end quote. Also, it's her sister. Leah is her sister, not her daughter. So Green's sister Leah has not stopped searching for answers since Lisa disappeared on June 25th, 2014 from Gilmore Lane in the Newburgh neighborhood. Her sister said, quote, she had walked out of my dad's back door in a white shirt and pink shorts. She didn't carry a purse because that wasn't Lisa's thing. She didn't have an ID. She didn't have shoes on. She just told my dad, I'm going to sit out back and sit on the porch. And that was the last that we have seen of her, end quote. So how does somebody, did she walk off by herself, but with no shoe? I mean, as a kid, I grew up on a farm. We ran around without our shoes on, but now as an adult, not so much. But with no shoes and nothing with her, did she just get up and walk away? Did somebody snatch her off the porch? What happened? So the circumstances of her disappearance haunts her family even more because of a letter that she left behind. Her sister said, quote, she wrote it on the back of an envelope that if she went missing, there was someone that hurt her, end quote. Green, her sister said detectives looked into this lead, but nothing panned out. And now there's a new lead investigator on the case, Detective Bill Clark. So Detective Clark said, quote, in talking to the family, there were some leads there that I felt we could work with, and I thought the best option was to talk to the community again and to see if there are any fresh leads that may come in, end quote. He hopes those with any information regarding her disappearance do come forward, absolutely. Detective Clark said, quote, no matter how small you think that detail might be, it might be what we need or may reinforce something that we already know and lead us in the right direction, end quote. That's what we always say around here. And Ms. Z, I don't know if Ms. Z is still here. Yep. If you know something, say something. If you see something, say something. So despite the passage of time, Lisa's family is holding on to hope. Her sister said, quote, for them to pick her case and want to reopen it and to want to work it, that means a lot and gives us some hope that they know something more that they didn't know 10 years ago, end quote. So once again, call 574-57 or use the online LMPD tip portal. It gives a link. Yeah, so I mean, I don't like I said, these are the ones, once again, that keep me up at night. So I have another article with some more statements from her family. So this one is from November 2020. Missing Louisville woman's family holds onto hidden note for answers. More than 6 years ago, Lisa Green walked onto her father's back porch on a warm June afternoon. So it was during broad daylight, too, if this article is correct. A warm June afternoon, Green's family thought nothing of her going outside, but this time was different. Green's family never saw her again, left with no answers and little hope. And now they are leaning on a letter found hidden in her bedroom after the disappearance. So cradling an old photo of Lisa holding her daughter, Leah Comer, which I believe is her sister, talked about the difficulties of continuing life without her big sister. Comer said, quote, she'll never get her hugs or her, hey, how are you doing? She got robbed of that and it is not fair, end quote. While life has not stopped for Comer since her sister's disappearance, the mother of two has not stopped looking for answers. Her sister said, quote, she had gotten up. She told my dad that she was just going to the back porch. She didn't have anywhere to go. She had nothing to do. She was just going to stay at home, end quote. Green never came back inside, and after the family could not find her for more than 48 hours, they were finally able to file a missing persons report with LMPD. So I wonder if they did the old, you can't report, you have to wait 48 hours before you report them missing. LMPD spokesperson Dwight Mitchell said, quote, what we have to decide is, are they missing or does something sinister happen? Now, I mentioned, like I said, I don't know if she's still here, but Ms. Z always says, and I thought too, I've always thought it too, as many of you probably have, is somebody may leave of their own accord at first, and then they find themselves in a dangerous situation they can't get out of. That does happen. Two things can be the truth at once, as I say. So detectives did collect DNA samples from Lisa's room, but nothing came of those. Her sister said, quote, my dad gave her, the detectives, I'm assuming, Lisa's hair out of her hairbrush, a piece of Lisa's clothing. We'll put this in NamUs, run her, and we'll see what we can find. And evidently they didn't find anything. Sorry, everything jumped on me. Dadgummit. Okay. So when searching through Lisa's room, though, the family did found something that could help answer their questions. Her sister said, we all came over to my dad's and went into her bedroom, so the family found it. They found a note that she had written that if anything happened to her, this one certain person had said that he would try to hurt her. So this was the boyfriend's friend. The note written on the back of an envelope and hidden away. I wonder where she hid it at. Named a friend of her and her boyfriend's as someone who might hurt her. Her sister said, quote, I think she knew something was going to happen to her, and I think that she wanted that piece of evidence right there for us to be able to say, hey, this is what is going on, end quote. But police said while he may have been a person of interest, they would need proof to make him anything more, which is true. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So I think it was Detective or Officer Mitchell, spokesperson Mitchell from the LMPD, said, quote, sometimes what may be evidence is not evidence unless you have something else to corroborate it with. Certainly we would look at that and look at those individuals that may be, but you also have to have a time and a place to put them there, end quote. Green's family, they posted flyers hoping for help, only to see them be torn down. I'll get that in a minute. So we see this in a lot of cases that we've looked at and talked about, is families talking about they put up missing posters and they would come back to find that somebody had torn them down. And then sometimes even people even see who tore them down. So obviously they become somebody to talk to, or a person of interest at the very least, because, why would you be tearing down missing persons posters? So it'd be interesting to know in Lisa's case if anybody saw who was tearing the posters down. But see, I lost my place. So they were they put up the fire posters. They were torn down. Just as they hit roadblocks, police could not find a lead to ever. This is poorly written. Police could not find a lead to ever lead to Green. Anyway, so her spokesperson Mitchell said, quote, we hope that they are safe and sound and just decided that they didn't want to live the life they were living anymore. Granted, that does happen, but he goes on to say, unfortunately, sometimes that can end in tragedy, end quote. Now the family prepares for yet another holiday season without Lisa. Her sister said that Thanksgiving and Christmas were Lisa's favorite holidays. They continue to face a reality that is too painful to put in words, holding on to memories. Her sister said that her father keeps waiting, hoping one day that Lisa will just walk back into the house. It just breaks my heart. Her sister said, quote, as bad as we want her to come home, I don't think that she is going to, end quote. Lisa's sister, believes that her big sister did pass away the day that she walked out of her father's house, questioning why Lisa's boyfriend and his friend have had no contact since her disappearance. So that's interesting. No contact with police, no contact with their family. So afraid that her sister's case might have been brushed away due to her background, Comer is hoping that someone might have information to help give her family the answers that they need. So once again, anyone with information that could help investigators is asked to call. You can call the LMPD's anonymous tip line at 502-574-LMPD. So yeah, so the family believes that they believe that whatever happened to her and they think that she's deceased, happened to her that same day that she walked out of her father's house, said, I'm just going to the porch to sit and relax, and had no shoes on, nothing with her, and just, she's gone. And so they think something happened to her that day, which would make sense. Oh, man, these kill me, I'm telling you. I think that is all I had on her. Oh, let me get to your comments really quickly. I think we have one more. Once again, I think I forgot to mark where I left off in comments. Let me see. Oh, I did remember to mark it. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Please do. If it'll come up. Please do all the things, like, subscribe, share. You guys know the drill. Yep, Mustang has red flags. So does Miss Paula. Yep, Miss Z is still here. Z says, let me get up here where I can read it. Sounds more like she was leaving a clue. If something happened to her, it is that feeling you get on the back of your neck that something is wrong. Listen to that inner voice. Absolutely. Yeah, because like I said, when I first read this, just from the Charley Project information, I was assuming, which we all know what happens when anybody assumes anything. I was assuming that she wrote this note that day and just left it maybe on the table or something that said, and then walked out the door, and then they found, but obviously that wasn't the case. She had written it sometime before this, hidden it somewhere in her room, which made more sense to me, because I was thinking, if they found this note laying on the table, why did they wait 48 hours? Well, they might have tried to report her missing, obviously probably before the 48 hours, but it might have been the case of that particular police department said, no, you got to wait 48 hours, which is not true. But yeah, she was definitely afraid of this friend of her and her boyfriends. And apparently her boyfriend and this friend have had no contact with somebody, police or their family, maybe since she disappeared. So yeah, kind of, I have questions, as Miss Z would say. I have questions. Yep, she went by Lou or Pooh Bear. Josh says Pooh Bear was his nickname as a kid too. I don't know what my nickname was. All I got was my full name whenever I was in trouble. Oh, I like that. Josh says his grandpa called him Junebug. I like that. Do they actually say the name? I don't. Josh says when articles talk about this name on the envelope, they sure do get wordy to talk around. Oh, so they haven't mentioned that. Yeah, I was thinking I didn't ever find a name. And obviously, I'm sure that people that her family knows the name, and police obviously know the name. Probably some of the locals that knew them probably know the name, but they're not going to say, they're not going to release it in public without any kind of concrete, solid proof, like I said, evidence that he had something to do with it. He would definitely be high on my list of people to talk to. Yeah, Ms. Z says it could have been someone she knew that she would walk up to if they showed up. If she just disappeared from the porch. It could have been someone she knew she would walk up to if they showed up to speak with her. She trusted them. If there was a furry animal or you heard something crying, you would go help. Absolutely. Yeah, because I'm thinking, because I said she just walked out the door, no shoes, no nothing. Said, I'm just going to go. Told her dad, I'm just going to go sit on the porch. And I don't know what time period passed before maybe her dad might have gone to check on her to see, if she didn't come in after a certain amount of time. I don't know how much time elapsed between when she actually went outside and then they've, couldn't find her. Probably tried to report her missing definitely before the 48 hours, I'm assuming. So yeah, somebody had to come, but she would have thought that, I said, unless they took her by surprise, somebody, possibly this unnamed person, could have come up on the porch and said, hey, I got something in my car to show you or give you, or whatever the case may be. And she walked out to the car, but if she was afraid of him, I mean, if it was me, once again, everybody does different things in situations, but I would not have walked up to the car. Or it could have been someone else she knew, like Miss Z said, somebody she knew came up, say, hey, to come take a quick ride around the block, whatever, down to the gas station, go get something to eat or drink, whatever. And then just never brought her back, or she never came back. That's the only thing. And then she didn't have her phone with her, I'm assuming. And just, something nefarious happened or whatever. And just, nobody saw anything, or nobody is saying anything that might have seen her around town with whoever. Oh. Oh, man. Josh said, I'm reading the comments on the local news station's video. They are commenting that they live within miles of Lisa's disappearance. They have never heard of her case. Oh, my God. See, once again, another reason why we do this. A lot of, we talk about how cases don't get national attention. Well, some cases do, some don't. But a lot of cases don't get local attention. I mean, all the missing people that, we have in Arkansas, missing teens, missing persons, I wouldn't know about them unless I'm just flipping through. Well, I can't flip through Facebook right now because I still can't get on it. Or, looking on YouTube or Google or whatever. Or usually I find out about them because one of the local news stations, I have their app on my phone, and they are really good about when they have a missing persons alert. They will send a notification to, whoever has the app that, a link to an article. And that's how I find out about most of them. And then sometimes they do, if they go on for a while, they do mention them. We'll give it like a little blurb on the actual news program on TV. But other than that, it's just like a little notification. Now, if an Amber Alert / Morgan Nick alert comes out, we get notified, the emergency alert on our phone. And we get alerts there. What Mustang said, we are from Oklahoma. Y'all been talking about pumpkin. Oh, nicknames. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the comments. So Josh says, neighbors apparently describe Lisa's father's house as frequented. You know what I'm trying to say. But Ellie was apparently there a lot, and there was so much going on in the house. Interesting. But still, regardless of what was going on in the house, because I'm assuming if Ellie was there a lot, probably some not so good things, maybe. But still, I mean, so maybe but unfortunately, that could be another reason. If they were at the house frequently, she lived there, so if Ellie was there, you would think that they would know who she was, and that if her family, unfortunately, if there was some things going on, her family says, hey, we haven't seen her. She just went outside, sat on the porch, never came back in. We can't find her. They might have said, oh, yeah, it's her. We know what goes on at that house. And, we know what happens. Didn't take it seriously. Didn't want to take it seriously because of maybe some things that were going on at the house. No excuse, in my opinion. But yeah, that could have been why, because the way they worded it said her family tried, or finally was able to report her missing 48 hours later. That could have had something to do with it too, unfortunately. That just burns me up. Thank you, Junior. Junior said about 5 minutes ago, he's falling asleep. I know, it's past your bedtime, Junior. It's past my bedtime too. It's almost midnight. I'll turn into a pumpkin. Good night. Thank you, Junior. It's always good to have Junior here. I would say Junior's one of our old timers. I'm not calling him old, but he's been here since before I even had a channel. I knew of Junior and Josh and a lot of you guys before any of us even had channels. So very appreciative of everybody who is stuck with us here. And on my grateful to everybody who's been here from the beginning, everybody who just happens to find us through either everybody's sharing out links and things of that nature, getting the word out. I appreciate everybody. Okay, so now Josh says, correction, it wasn't her father's house. I think where Ellie showed up at the time, it was the what? A realty trial where the what? I can't read, I'm sorry. Reality trial where she was last seen. Okay. See, that's what I was wondering, because it said, Z said, was the boyfriend and his friend in on it together? You only stop talking to the family if you know she is no longer around. See, that's what I was wondering, because I believe in that. I probably won't be able to find it again. I'm sorry if I know my cord is probably scratching and making noise. My mic cord. Anyway, yeah, that article said, I believe the one with her family, her sister, said that when she disappeared, that I think both the friend and the boyfriend, they didn't have any contact with him after that. So basically the boyfriend and the friend didn't have contact with family, I'm assuming they meant, with police, unless police went and talked to the boyfriend and the friend. So yeah, that would make me think, just in my little pea brain, that maybe some questions need to be asked, something needs to be dug into a little bit deeper, and it could be that law enforcement did dig into it deeper and was just, like they said, never able. I think the one spokesperson said, we dug into all the leads that we got. We just did not ever find enough evidence to bring any kind of charges or anything of that nature. But that is what I would think. Yeah, Josh says he has the same problem I do. He says a lot of these articles are written poorly. I know, that's why I try to read over if I have time, because sometimes between work and life, I just have a couple of hours to sit down and do my research and find some articles. But I try to read over them. Yeah, some of them are very poorly written. That's why if you hear me stumble, it's not just me all the time, which I do stumble over my words a lot, but it's just because they're so written so poorly that it gets you tongue tied even worse. And I don't need any help getting tongue tied. I do enough of it on my own. Anyway, yeah, Mustang says, if I ever come up missing without shoes on, something is wrong. I know. The older I get, like I said, as kids, living out here as kids on the farm, of course we had everything: grass, gravel, dirt. I could run across gravel on my bare feet as a kid. Didn't faze me. But obviously the older I get, I don't even walk in the house. I have to have my slippers on, my house shoes on. I can't stand, it hurts too bad to walk on, linoleum floors, hardwood floors. I can't do it anymore. Can't do a lot of things I can't do when you get older. Anyway, yeah, Z says, sad, isn't it, about the way poorly written articles. It's even worse now. We also have spell check, which, yeah, I'm telling you. And I've always been I was never a word or a number person. I didn't get the math skills. My brothers got those. I was always better in language and writing and reading and, things of that nature. But yeah, maybe that's why it irritates me so much when these articles, I'm like, I'm not a professional writer and I could write better than this. I'm gonna have to look at that. Josh says the Unfound podcast retraces her last known location on scene, or locations on scene. Are you talking about? So was she seen any? Maybe. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch it. Her last known locations on scene. So was she seen at? I was assuming she was not seen after she disappeared, or after. Somebody had to have seen something. Like what I say, somebody saw something. They had to have. Um, oh, thank you. Thank you, Miss Farr sent $5 Australian. She says, I'm still here listening and piss farting. I know she explained to in a chat in somebody else's live stream or something here a while back, explained what piss farting meant, and I can't remember. And I loved it at the time. I laughed. I don't remember what it is now, but at any rate, once again, thank you to Miss Farr. Thank you so much, ma'am. Always appreciated. Oh, now I lost it. Oh, everything popped up. There it is. Okay. Oh, so that's interesting. Okay, so Josh found, I'm assuming from an article, a newspaper article, a quote in the letter that she left. She complained that there was someone, I'm assuming maybe family members said this, or law enforcement. She complained about that there was someone that was threatening to hurt her, to watch out going down the street at night where it's dark and where he could jump out and, I'm assuming, hurt her. Interesting. So did it say, let me go back. Was it day or night when she went missing? Because see, I wondered about that too, because I think maybe I've read conflicting information. One article said it was in the afternoon, I think, and then let me go back to her Charley Project information. Because that would, to me, it would make more sense if it was at night, because obviously at night you're going to be less likely to notice. But I don't think it just in that one article with the family, it said that it was in the afternoon. So I just, assumed that it was during the day. But in Charley Project, it doesn't give a time or approximation, day, night, whatever. But to me, it would make more sense that, evidently either, like I said, nobody saw anything, which I find highly unlikely, unless, once again, if it was at night, it would make sense that maybe nobody really saw anything. But if it was during the day and nobody saw anything, unless she just got, like Ms. Z said earlier, it was somebody that she knew and trusted, and she might have gotten into the car with them thinking that they're just going to go down the road and come back or whatever. And then that's not what happened. But yeah, that is, very, very horrifying. Okay, so the rest of it was, she was petrified of him. I wonder if she had gone to the police before this, maybe to get some kind of, just to have it documented, just in case something, she disappeared, God forbid, which she did. If she'd ever gone to the police to make any reports of his threats, to get any kind of TPO or restraining orders, orders of protection, anything like that, I would think that they would have mentioned it in news articles if she had done that. But obviously her family knew that she was, I don't know. I say obviously that I don't know. Did her family know that she was scared of him before they found this note? Is that what the note said? It's just, is that Miss Avery? She changed her name, unless it's got to be the same Avery. Avery in Alabama. Hey, Miss Avery. Good to have you here. I'm assuming it's Avery. I think is what she usually has, unless it's a different one. Because once again, can't see what I'm reading here. Z is looking at cases. Yeah, see, that's what Josh says. If it was this person named on the envelope. I doubt she trusted that person. So yeah, that's what I was saying. See, and then that goes back to, because I thought the same thing. If this particular person, the friend, came up, pulled up and said, "Hey, come to my car," if I'm not afraid of him, which she obviously was, she probably said, "No way." I would have gotten up to come into the house and locked the door. But let's say that it was somebody else she knew, like her boyfriend or somebody else, that said, "Hey, come get in the car. I want to talk to you," or "Let's go get in the car. Let's go run down and get something to drink or get something to eat. I'll bring you right back." I would probably trust my boyfriend to get in the car with him. Just saying. I'm not saying the boyfriend had anything to do with it, but that would be one of the persons that I trusted. And you know what I'm saying? Just saying. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mustang. I always like to try to give a shout out also, along with Trial Junkies United and all of our other friends. Stolen Spirits, MMIWG. They're on Facebook. They're on YouTube. And once again, if I could get StreamYard on my computer, I do have the Facebook group link. Please do check them out. They do wonderful work, obviously, on MMIP, Indigenous person cases. Please do check them out. Yes, Miss Paula says, yes, it is wonderful seeing everybody here, especially this late. We're getting late. We're almost done. We got one more and we will be done. But I appreciate everybody who hangs in with us in the live chats. I appreciate, once again, everybody who watches on replay. Once again, if you're watching replay, please leave a comment down below. It does help with the algorithm. Hit the like button, do all the things, share it out if you wish to do so. Oh, Miss Avery says she saw an Amber Alert today. Was it the one? Because I know there was apparently, because when I got to spend a few minutes in Miss Doodle's second channel, her Shenanigans channel. It might have been Miss Far or somebody that was in there, said that there had been an Amber Alert in Missouri today, but they canceled it because they thought it was a hoax or something. That may be completely different from what you're talking about. And I think I did look up, something did pop up on my phone about it after I saw it. Somebody mentioned it in Doodle's chat, but then when I clicked on the link, it went to just completely different, nothing about this Amber Alert. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe the one in Missouri was a hoax. Why would, well, I ask why. I shouldn't have to ask why, because there are evil people in this world. Why would somebody hoax an Amber Alert unless it was, I don't know what they meant by hoax, and it was just somebody, hey, let's call in a missing kid and get an Amber Alert just for kicks and giggles. Or if it's, somebody that knew the child had something to do with the disappearance, but they called in an Amber Alert, but then it was canceled. Maybe if somebody was involved that was known to the missing child. Yes, Miss Paula. I think Miss Paula, I knew before, had seen in chats before I started my channel. Yeah, Miss Paula says, thanks. I have been here since the beginning. Yes, ma'am, you have. I probably saw Paula in Mr. Steve's chat. I think that's where I know most everybody here from that's been here since before the channels. Avery says she's trying to remember the Amber Alert that she saw earlier. Okay, so it was the same one in Missouri. Avery said March 30th, 2026, for a 5-year-old Elise Dawson, who was abducted when the car she was in was stolen. Stolen in Afton, Missouri, which is in St. Louis County. 2020 Teal Jeep Renegade was found abandoned, but the child, there's the second part, is still missing. She was last seen wearing a pink Flower Power shirt and blue shorts. So is that a different one? Or maybe it wasn't a hoax? That's horrifying. Yeah, so maybe a carjacking, that unfortunately happens a lot. people will carjack a car and just pull the driver, the parent out, and then the kids are in the back seat in the car seats, and they take off with them. I was watching something once again, either on ID channel or was kind of like live PD, but it's pre-recorded. It's like police body cam footage, and I was watching one the other day, and that's what happened is someone carjacked a car, pulled the mom out, and there was 2 kids, like an infant or a toddler, and then maybe a 2 or 3 year old. They did recover both children safely, thank goodness. But yeah, that's why you always be paranoid like me. Always keep your doors locked, your car doors, your house doors. Okay, so Avery said Elise Dawson, 5-year-old black female, 2 feet 6 inches tall, 60 pounds, with 4 ponytails, St. Louis County in Afton, Missouri. I'm gonna have to look at that when we get off of here. Oh, is she? Oh no. Mustang says praying she is found safe. Yes. Okay, Josh, are you talking about the Amber Alert? Says she was last seen apparently in a very wooded area. Hold on now, y'all gonna make me look this up. I won't be able to share my screen, but is it Elise Dawson? Let me go back and okay, Aleise. Oh, if I could type Aleise. Amber Alert. Yes, I talked to myself. Okay, so here is something from 13. This has to be the same one from Afton, Missouri. So the alert was canceled. Hold on, I don't know if the article will come up. Dadgummit, come on. See, nothing will come up. But the headline said there was no abduction, Amber Alert canceled, charges to be filed. It says an Amber Alert had been issued for a missing child from Afton on Monday morning. 6 hours. This was 6 hours ago. Okay, this one article came up. It's from WOKV.com. Amber Alert issued for 5-year-old girl left unattended and running vehicle that was then stolen. So maybe it's a different one. So it says a 5-year-old girl is missing after she was left unattended in a running vehicle that was sorry. She was left unattended in a running vehicle that was then stolen. An Amber Alert has been issued for Elise Dawson, who was taken around 8 a.m. local time in Afton. The vehicle has been recovered, but the child has not. The child started living with a guardian who's believed to be a relative within the past few weeks, according to St. Louis County PD spokesperson. So is this the same one as the hoax one? Because this is a different article. I don't think somebody sent me a message. Oh, I can't read it right now. It's on my phone. Shoot. So I don't know if this is the same one or a different one. This was from 6 hours ago. It's got to be the one that Avery is talking about because it said she was wearing the Flower Power, a pink t-shirt with Flower Power and blue shorts. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into the hoax and if it's the same one or not. I can't get that one article to come up. Anyway. I'll look into it, or we can look into it. You guys can. But I will also when we get on off of here. Yeah, Avery said the child was inside a running 2020 Jeep Renegade that was stolen around 8 a.m. Update, the vehicle was found a few blocks away, but the child was not inside. Oh, reality trail. I read that earlier as reality trial. Sorry, Josh. Blame it. I can't. I told you. I'm trying to read off my phone. I can't see. Okay, reality trail. So that was the area where law enforcement went to or was searching or went to a lot in Lisa's case. Okay, so it is so Avery said, scratch that. I just read the parents lie. Said, why? They need to be prosecuted some way. Just my opinion. I just read the parents lied and the whole thing was a hoax. She is not missing. Oh my God. There's got to be some kind of charges that can be brought against anybody who calls in, most certainly of bogus hoax Amber Alerts or a child missing. Now, we've obviously all had cases where they're the ones that made the child go missing, but then they report a missing. So obviously, you know, they're not going to think we did it if we report her missing or report the kid missing. But yeah, if they just did it for a hoax, for, like I said, shits and giggles, and why would, oh my goodness. Anyway. No, it's okay, Avery. You're fine, dear. You're fine. Don't ever apologize for anything about it, because, you know, maybe it wasn't, you know, maybe it wasn't a hoax. We still need to know about it. But yeah, that just pees me off that, anyway. Ms. Z says she never wears shoes. If my feet didn't hurt, but I've got plantar fasciitis in both feet now from working at Wally World for 15 years and walking on concrete. I have bad legs and bad feet now, bad everything. I have to have some kind of something on my feet or I can't walk. I said, even in the house, I have to wear my house shoes, my slippers with the cushion in them. Mustang says she's opposite. She always wears. Yeah, I've got to have something on my feet. All right, I think I'm trying to get caught up. We can get to our last one. This is one I don't want to miss anybody's. Okay, so Josh said, going back to Lisa's case, some articles describe her last known location at the reality trail, not trial, like I misread earlier, 13 miles from her father's house. Okay. Some of the wording is strange, though. It could be she just I had problems saying that word. She was there often. Yeah. Because it said that I mean, unless I'm misinterpreting we're interpreting all these articles the same way, is that, excuse me, basically she walked out of her father's house, said, I'm just going to go sit on the back porch for a while. And then maybe they checked her dad or somebody checked on her at some point after that, when he maybe got concerned that she hadn't come inside and she wasn't there. So, oh, okay. So So I mentioned earlier when Miss Farr gave the $5 Australian, piss farting is killing time, wasting time, dawdling, doing things slowly. Oh, I'm a master at piss farting then. I'm a pro at doing that. Excellent point. I thought of that also. He wasn't a very good boyfriend if he did that. So Z said, if your boyfriend has a friend who is threatening you, why are they still friends? Yes. Why? Either I would say, yeah, why are they, the boyfriend and the friend, still friends? Or, not blaming the victim, but why is he still your boyfriend? Which it could be a situation. Maybe she was afraid of her boyfriend too. Maybe it was a DV kind of situation. So Ms. Z says, it feels like they may have been in on something together, especially since both broke off contact with the family. Absolutely. I agree. Just getting caught up here. Oh, I can't. Josh says he can't type. I can't type it either. I can't ever type. Missy says, also, you can't forget jealous ex-girlfriends or just jealous women. You might not feel threatened. That is true. Yeah, maybe the boyfriend had another girlfriend, or the friend had a girlfriend and said, hey, go over and talk to Lisa and get her in the car or whatever. I'm just absolutely possible. Oh, you're welcome for whatever. Doodle said, thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, Doodle says they have figured out the child was never stolen. That just burns my. There's got to be some kind of charges that can be brought against them. Oh yeah, Doodle says, I figured with no picture of a child, it was weird or a hoax. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. I'm just now getting down to what Doodle saying. It was the same kid. Sorry, I'm behind. Thank you, Josh. Josh says he may be gone already. I'm about 10 minutes behind. I'm sorry. I had to say good night. Long day tomorrow. It's past Pooh Bear's bedtime. Thank you, Josh. I think, yeah, it's getting past my bedtime too. Got one more, and we will be done. I just don't want to miss anybody's comments, thoughts, questions on any of these cases. But thank you, Josh, as always, for being here. Once again, please check out Where Lavender Grows, Josh's channel. And I don't think he had a live he usually does his lives, I think it's 6 p.m. Central on Sundays, because I usually watch his live stream and then jump over when he's usually over by the time that Miss Z and Doc at Charley Project United do their Sunday live stream at 8 p.m. Central. So I go from his. We usually all go from his to theirs. So, but I don't think he did one last night. Absolutely. Josh says, thank you for holding space for all the missing tonight. Absolutely. And hope all are found. Okay, so Doodle was this one that, yeah, I know my phone dinged that I got something on Messenger, but I couldn't read it because I have StreamYard up on my phone. And if I try to do anything, I'll probably kick myself out here. Ooh. So I went back to talking about keeping your car doors locked, which I always do. Z says, here's a good tip I heard the other day. If you're driving by yourself, put the passenger's seatbelt to the door handle and buckle it. They can't open the passenger door. Oh, I never thought about that. That is a good tip. Yeah, so if you happen to have a car that the door lock won't work for some reason, that is an excellent idea. Or just for double protect, have the door locked and have the seatbelt around it. So, Miss Avery, you're fine. You're fine, my dear. Don't ever apologize for wanting to bring attention to, especially a missing child. You are fine. Yeah, Far says that is a handy little tip. Absolutely. Okay. Doodle says Missouri State Highway Patrol is okay. Gotcha. Sorry. Okay, so Doodle says Missouri is bad for these hoax Amber Alerts, which is frightening. I know. Because that would make, I mean, hopefully everybody pays attention the best they can to the Amber Alerts. But if all these hoaxes come up, I'm afraid some people will say, oh, it's just another hoax. Don't pay attention to it. I mean, like I said, there's got to be some kind of charge, a criminal charge for doing something like that. There has to be. If not, there should be, in my opinion. Oh, Doodle made you do. Avery said Doodle made her do it. Hey, Boston Christian, good to see you. Yeah, we're still here, 3 hours in, like usual, but that's okay. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, charges, false reporting of a crime. Thank you, Ms. Z says. Yeah, I'm like, there's got to be something that they can be charged with. Yeah, on your own child, like Avery said, that is so sick to put that on your own child, like manifesting something. I know, God forbid that the child does actually come up missing. Now, let's, we're not going to put those vibes out in the universe, but just, on the off chance. And then they try to report it as legit, and then they're going to be, wait, you had a charge, you falsely reported as a hoax. They're not going to believe them. And so that puts the child at risk. Oh, my Lord. Anyway, I got to quit. Oh, see, I don't have but that is a good tip. I don't have like ring or any out here on the farm. We ain't fancy. We don't have any of the in-home security cameras. But Z says another tip: the hackers are hacking into. Yes, I've heard of this. Hacking into in-home security cameras. So put a piece of tape over your TV camera. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Ms. Z says Amber Alert hoaxes. You wonder if it is parental custody issues. That's a good point. Because I'm like, why would you do a hoax on your own child, let alone anybody else's? Okay, Avery says, I read they were charged. Good. Yeah, that must have been that one article that I couldn't get to come up. It says there was no abduction. Amber Alert canceled, charges to be filed. All right. Okay, I'm caught up. So we got one more case to get to. Get all my stuff together here. This is, once again, I can't read it on this should be Angela Spalding HIlbert. So Angela has been missing since June 3rd, 1989. She is classified as endangered missing. She's a white female, 22 years old when she went missing. She was 5'4" tall, 117 pounds, with blonde hair and hazel eyes. She does have a scar on her back from scoliosis surgery. She has a metal rod was implanted into her spine. Her ears are pierced. Her name is Angie, and some accounts spell her name Angela. How is that not how it was spelled? Oh, it was spelled Angela. She was last known to be wearing an orange top, blue jeans, Reebok sneakers, a gold man's high school class ring with a yellow stone. Do they even do class rings anymore? Just a thought. This is 89. I graduated in 89, so yeah, that was a big thing back in the 80s. You wore your boyfriend's class ring with, all the tape around it to make it fit your finger. Anyway, I digress. So the gold man's high school class ring with a yellow stone, gold stud earrings, a gold watch, a ponytail holder, and a key ring. So Angela was pregnant at the time of her disappearance. Make sure I got all that. So her car is accounted for. So this is another one that I don't know, vanished into thin air. We know that doesn't happen, but Angela left her workplace, which was the Gulf service station at Bardstown Road and Hurstbourne Lane in Louisville on June 3rd, 1989. She was following her parents to Owensboro, Kentucky, where they were moving. She was driving a gray four-door 1982 Pontiac J2000, and she was last seen in the Dry Ridge Road area at midnight. So she never arrived in Owensboro. So apparently she was going to be following her parents. That's kind of like the other one that we had. I don't even remember which one it is. Do we have another one where somebody was following somebody and disappeared in two separate cars? Oh, might be Mario's case. They were in two separate vehicles, but they were supposed to be going to the same house. Anyway, so she never arrived in Owensboro. She has never been heard from again. She was reported missing on June 16th, and her vehicle was found abandoned in the parking lot of the Toy Tiger Lounge, which I'm assuming is some kind of bar lounge situation, in the 3300 block of Bardstown Road on June 26th. So once again, I don't have any concept of how far. Okay, so they were on their way to. Okay, so her car was found. So she worked at the gas station on Bardstown Road. And then the lounge where they found the car was also on Bardstown Road, different block, so wasn't that far away on June 26th. So that was what, almost a month, 23 days. So she was last seen June 3rd, 1989, when she was supposed to be following her parents to Kentucky. The car was found 23 days later on June 26th. In the lounge, the parking lot of this lounge. It said that Angela did maintain regular contact with her parents prior to her disappearance. Few details are available in her case, but foul play is suspected. So where was the car for 23 days? Or why did it take, if it was sitting in the parking lot that long, why did it take them or police or anybody 23 days to find it? But if you have any information, call the Louisville Metro PD at 502-572-3480. Once again, I don't know how far it is from Louisville to Owensboro, where her parents were moving to, where she was supposed to be following her parents to. But if the car was found right there where they basically where she worked at, or the same road, Bardstown Road, just in a different block. All right, let me see what I was able to find. I don't think I was able to find maybe one news on websleuths.com. Maybe one, somebody scanned in a newspaper clip that maybe was just about the search or something. I'll get to it. Anyway, I think that was it that I was able to find. So apparently her parents in 1994, so she disappeared in 89. So 1994, her parents did have a memorial service for her. Somebody just kind of clipped the obituary. Angela's family published an obituary. Okay, so they've published an obituary for her in 1994. Angela Joy HIlbert, a memorial service is scheduled for Angela Joy HIlbert of Louisville, last seen on June 3rd, 1989. Her body has never been found. She was born in Texas. She was a former clerk for BP Oil Company. Her father is a former pastor of a church in Owensboro. So maybe that's why her parents were moving to Owensboro. Maybe he became the pastor. Once again, I don't know how far away Owensboro is from Louisville. It lists her surviving relatives. A daughter. She had a daughter, Alyssa, her parents, grandfather, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. Man, they did have a memorial service at 2 p.m. at the United Methodist Church in Louisville. It does say the family request, and I don't know if she was married, divorced, what the situation was. She did have a daughter, but it says the family at the memorial, or in the obituary, the family requests that memorial gifts take the form of donations to the Spouse Abuse Center in Louisville or the Angela Spalding HIlbert Scholarship Funds, sponsored by the University of Louisville Wesley Foundation. That's interesting. Yeah, because it didn't say anything about a spouse or anything in the Charley Project information, but it does name a daughter, Alyssa, as a survivor. Her parents, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. Didn't say anything about a spouse or anything of that nature. Okay, so somebody posted, and once again, always take anything you read with a grain of salt, but on WebSleuth, you do have to be verified to print anything as fact, but evidently somebody has some information about her husband, maybe soon to be ex-husband. Somebody posted in November 2017. This person says there seems to be an obvious suspect in this case. Angela's husband was John T. HIlbert, and she filed for divorce. She filed for divorce a month before disappearing. 10 years after her disappearance in 1999, John T. HIlbert, GSW, 2 men in an argument involving an ex-girlfriend who was involved with one of the deceased men that he took out. It says that he stretched the judicial process to 3 trials, arguing self-defense and judicial errors before finally found guilty, sentenced to 25 years. So that's interesting. You always have to look at it, or I always think about it, at least in my unprofessional opinion, that if she went missing a month after she filed for divorce, I mean, once again, we don't know if the husband had anything to do with it. He might not have even been in the picture. Evidently in 1999, which that's 10 years later, he was out GSW and people over other women. But anyway, you got to look at it. You got to think about it. Let me see. I'm trying to find that newspaper clipping. Okay, so this, I don't know where it's from, what newspaper it's from, or when it was published. It's just somebody photocopied or scanned the article in. A police checking nursery, as in not like a nursery where kids are, but like a plant. Isn't that what nurseries are called, for like plants, trees? Anyway, police checking nursery for missing woman's body. With the help of a bulldozer and a dog that sniffs for human remains, Jefferson County Police combed the grounds of a nursery yesterday in search of the remains of a woman who disappeared more than 3 years ago. So this was 3 years after she disappeared. In recent weeks, police received several tips that the body of Angela Joy HIlbert was buried at the nursery at 14,111 US 60 in eastern Jefferson County, and this is according to Sergeant R.D. Jones. Sergeant Jones says, quote, "We feel very strongly about this information, and that's why we are here," end quote. He goes on to say, nothing has been found since the search began on Monday. It is expected to continue today. Jones will not be specific about the tips, but said that they came from people who are known to police and, quote, fit the description of the land, whatever that means, or maybe the description that the person gave in the tip of where to look for her. Jones also said that the current owners of the nursery are not implicated. 2 locations about 300 yards apart, one on a hill and the other down a slope, were the focus of the search. Not County Sheriff Jim Ambergy, I apologize. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. Who's assisting with House, one of his department's dogs, said House gave strong indications at least twice in the same area at one location that something was underground. The House is trained to find human remains. He said the search was tedious because of the clay-like soil, which tends to mask the odor of human remains. Ambergy said, quote, "This is kind of like looking for a needle in a haystack or panning for gold, because dogs are fallible, and so is the information you get from informants. This has been one of our most difficult searches," end quote. Jones said that media coverage early this month about the 3rd anniversary of HIlbert's disappearance generated the tips. Joyce Spalding, Angela's mother, who spoke openly about her daughter's disappearance 3 weeks ago, referred questions to the police. Spalding and her husband, John, okay, so they mentioned John, said June 2nd that they held faint hope. Well, so her husband said that they held faint hope that HIlbert was alive. The Spaldings said they have collected $2,000 as a reward for information about Angela's whereabouts. HIlbert, then 22, has been missing since June 3rd, 1989. She left work at a service station near Bardstown Road and Hurstbourne Lane about midnight. Police say she was last seen with her estranged husband, John T. HIlbert, in the area of Dry Ridge Road where her parents had lived. Interesting. Her car was found on June 27th, 1989 in the parking lot of a nightclub on Bardstown Road, but police said they do not believe she drove it there. You think? Angie HIlbert, or Angela, had filed for divorce a month before she disappeared. She and John HIlbert were married in September of 1986, according to Jefferson Circuit Court documents. On June 3rd of this year, Circuit Judge Ellen Ewing granted permanent custody of Alyssa, the daughter. Oh, so that's after she disappeared. So after she disappeared, the Circuit Court granted permanent custody of Alyssa to the Spaldings. So that was her parents, right? Ewing, the judge, said that it was in the best interest of the child that she remain with the Spaldings, who had temporary custody of her. Yeah, so Joyce Spalding. So they gave, instead of giving custody, so apparently after Angela disappeared, they had she had already filed for divorce a month before. So the parents had temporary custody, I'm assuming, after she disappeared, but they were granted permanent custody 3 years after she disappeared instead of the father. So that's interesting. So yeah, that was about all I could find. Just had somebody scanned in a clipping that I read earlier of the obituary memorial service. Yeah, so I would definitely, but like I said, apparently 10 years after Angela disappeared, her husband was out shooting up people. GSWing people. Yes, it did say she was pregnant, but they mentioned that in the Charley Project. But like I said, I was not able to find just whatever was on Web Sleuths, which these two articles, the obituary and this one article about the search. And usually if I can't find any articles on my own on Google, if they have a Web Sleuths thread, there are people that have found articles, and if the links still work, that's how I find a lot of my articles. But even on this one, the only article links or scan-ins were the search 3 years after she disappeared, and then the obituary was all that was listed. So apparently there's not a whole lot of information out there. But yeah, I did say in the Charley Project information that she was pregnant. That's also interesting. So was it she filed for divorce a month before disappearing? Maybe I don't, once again, we don't know. Did she know she was pregnant before, after she filed for divorce? But at any rate, it sounded like her husband, just from the information that we have in limited, that he wasn't too good of a dude. So, but yeah, I didn't say anywhere else. Like I said, limited. That drives me nuts. Another thing that keeps me up at night. So little information. Anyway, I think that was all I had on her. Let me check and make sure. Yep. All right, let me get caught up in your comments and we will get out of here. Okay. What? Oh, every time about the class ring. Avery said, if that's the case, I'm going to hide my son's class ring. I don't even know. I'm assuming then that they still do class rings. Yeah, back in the 80s, that was the thing, is if you were dating somebody, boyfriend, girlfriend with somebody, then you wore his class ring on your index finger, your pointer finger, and then you had to wrap all the tape around the bottom of it so it wouldn't fall off your finger. Anyway, I'm having flashbacks. Yeah, class rings weren't cheap. Class rings weren't cheap. As Paula's sensing, you talking about Angela's case, she says sensing red flaggy. Absolutely. I would definitely have been asking the ex-husband, soon to be ex-husband, some questions. Avery says her son can't have a girlfriend until he's 33. Oh my goodness. Boston Christian's still here. Yep. Mustang says maybe the baby daddy. Yeah, that was John the father. Was now I sound like Maury Povich. You are not the father. Was it Maury or no? Who the other one? Springer, Jerry Springer, or both of them. Anyway, once again, squirrel brain. Yeah, if she was pregnant, was it John's? Maybe she did know. Maybe she didn't know because obviously he wasn't a good dude. Was it somebody else's after they separated and she filed for divorce? Or before? Who knows? Yep, it absolutely said she was pregnant. Yeah, the daughter that they already had. Yeah, Miss Paula said, what happened to the child? Apparently 3 years. Apparently her parents had temporary custody 3 years after she disappeared. They were granted permanent custody instead of the father. It could be in that good old John there just didn't want anything to have to do with his kid because he was too busy out GSWing other men over other women. But yeah, so the child was raised by her parents, or they had custody of her. Anyway, okay, I think I'm caught up. Thank you, Mustang. Thank you, everybody that was here. Yes, absolutely wonderful. And Mustang said, thanks, chat. Great conversations. Yes, we always, that's why we have 3-hour live streams, but you guys always have such wonderful, smart, great comments, insights, thoughts, questions about all these cases. And we just have that's what we need to do. Have conversations, talk things out, look at different scenarios, get the word out. So other people who might not be aware of these cases will be made aware. So absolutely, I'm willing to sit here for 3+ hours to have conversations with you guys about these things. Thank you, Miss Paula. All right, so maybe a live stream. I should be able to do one Friday night. We'll see what's going on. We're supposed to have some thunderstorms and weather moving in at some point. So I don't know. I have to see what I have going on because this weekend is Easter weekend, this coming up weekend. So we'll see. But I'll get it. I'll look and see what the schedule is, and I'll get it scheduled. But if I don't see you guys before then, everyone have a good rest of your week. Have a good weekend. Have a good Easter. Once again, thank you to everybody who was in chat. Sorry, I'm multitasking. Thank you to everybody who's on replay crew. Thank you to our lurkers. Thank you to members, mods, subscribers, everybody. And I will see you, if not Friday, I will definitely see you next Monday. Thank you, guys.